What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me this week. This week I've got the honor and the pleasure of having Tanner Lawley of the Lawley Art Group on the show. I've known Tanner for almost 20 years. I've commissioned several pieces of art with him for myself and for loved ones and for the rugby charity auctions that I used to do with the Dallas Harlequins. That's where I met Tanner. I hope you enjoy the show. We're going to talk a lot about entrepreneurship, art, politics, about culture, about operating from a love base instead of a fear base, and about being salt and light in your world, being the change that you want to see. Hope you enjoy. Well, let's start back where we were just talking. So you do, what podcasts and content do you consume?
Man, I would say right now I'm getting more political stuff, you know, and then I'm having to go outside of my norm. So I've been going to YouTube for so long. Well, so many of my YouTube people that I followed have all been taken off, you know, have been censored or banned or whatever. And so they're going to alternative platforms. So I'm starting to go to BitChute and Parler, but I'm seeing that shift of people away from big tech monopolies when it comes to our viewership.
Right.
And so I'm now positioning myself, since COVID hit, I took off. Like, I shut down my business, my retail storefront, and I knew it wasn't going to get better. I knew that they love a good tragedy, and they really want to make sure to capitalize on it and take as many rights away as they can, you know. And when I was seeing that they were calling for a coin shortage and what was it? Tedros came out back in like October and said that COVID could be transferred through dollar bills and money. So I was like, oh, this is when they're coming to get the cash. Because they can't control the cash. But if you realize that, I mean, probably 100% of the black market in the world is ran off of the cash system, and so, I've started to, I don't know, I opened myself up to everything, but, there was a while where I was listening to Gary Vee all the time, and I got him for, several years, but I'd read his books and things like
you
that.
Met him.
I've gotten to, go in his office, and one of the reasons I opened the sports card business a couple of years ago was I was in his office in New York, and I looked in his safe that's this tall, and it's just full of slabs. It's full of graded cards, and he went long on it, So when I saw that in 2018, I was like, man, if this dude's putting that kind of money in it, I better pay attention. And I was lucky that Luka was our rookie, rookie of the year and everything. And Luka's number 77. Well, I was born in 77. Me being a numbers guy, like, if I try to read a book to my daughters, I fall asleep. Just reading, but I can listen all day. I can watch all day.
Interesting.
And so I'm more of a visual audio learner. But when it comes to reading, I don't have the, it's just not the way that I communicate, but I love numbers, you know? So when Luka came out, being here in Dallas, I was like, man, I got to get this guy's rookie card. Well, I focused on that. And when I was pulling every Luka you would ever want out of boxes, back when the boxes were cheap. Well, that hobby is 10x'd in a year, from Luka's year to Zion's year. The prices just skyrocketed. So I was in before the hit, before the wave came in. So I've been able to ride that wave, through COVID and doing, big numbers, 5 figures every month.
Wow.
Selling cardboard.
That's awesome.
And
is that what you've been doing for the last several months then?
Yeah. Or actually, I started the business with my daughter, Haven, as a summer project, and part of it was I was having record years in the art world. And so I was selling, $500,000 plus of my own artwork each year and doing big numbers. And, I started getting that itch of when Luka came out to go start buying cards. So I started buying everything I could get. Well, after I'd probably dropped $30,000 in it, I was like, I got to turn this into a business or I'm going to have to pay tax on this money. So I decided, that year Haven wasn't going to go to her sports camps and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, well, she'll come to work with me. So she came to work with me all summer, and that was our summer project. And I was teaching her how to do inventory and teaching her, and she's 8 at the time. So, if she gets 10% of what I'm laying down, she's better off than every little video game player that she goes to school with.
I mean, that's an understatement. So you're teaching your daughter at 8 years old the basics of entrepreneurship.
And just hoping that she's going to get a little bit of it. But they went shopping today, and she was able to use her own money that she earned working in the card shop, sorting cards, sleeving cards, things like that.
How cool is that?
But also learning organization and, but providing a value to me. So, and when you understand that kids are tax-free on their first 12 too, from 7 to 17,
right?
I would be a fool not to load up their savings and their IRAs and things like that, because that'll be the least taxed money they'll ever make in their life.
You're gonna have college paid for. You're gonna have
college. I mean, we'll be so far past college, because
college is a dying.
It's
concept.
Overpriced, and it underdelivers.
100%.
And it's not even a debate anymore. I know more millionaires that didn't finish college than I know that did.
Well, I mean, I tell guys who ask me, guys and gals want to come work for me, hey, do you require a college degree for me to come work for you? Say, no, man. I mean, not at all. I mean, if college teaches you anything, it's how to stick with something that you start and finish it, but also how to work a system. Well, you can learn how to do that through on-the-job training. You can learn how to do that from a good mentor. I feel like kids don't understand these days that if you see someone and you like the way they're living their life, man, reach out. Lean in, say, hey, can I come spend some time with you? Can I intern for you? Can I get coffee for you? Can I shadow you, follow you around? Imagine that.
How can I provide you value?
How can I provide you value in exchange for learning from you?
Yep. That's how I got into the art world. I was
really,
I was a handyman, and so I had networked with some artists, and I was watching them paint, and I was like, I can do this. And they were like, no, you can't do this. This isn't your skill set, and you don't have the God-given talents to be able to do this, and you can't learn this, and all this kind of stuff. And luckily at the time, they didn't know how many times I'd been told no in my life, and how many coaches had spit in my face and called me a piece of crap, like all that kind of stuff. And I believed them. I went to them for my truths. And then once I shifted who I went to my truths for, and I went to God for my truths and my inner self for my truth, that's when I was able to flip it. But I needed that fuel for my fire, but also it's like, now I just got to prove him wrong.
I don't think you should tell Tanner Lawley, no, you can't do something.
I think you should. Honestly, like, I want you to, but for me, it's I love being told I can't do something now, but for a time in my life, it crippled me, and because I let it live in my head rent free. And that's like that black magic. You let that black magic of doubt inside your mind. And when you plant that seed and water that seed and think about that every day, and, it becomes, you associate with it as your truth, that's when you lost the battle to it. But once you find a new truth, and for me, it was, I grew up as a paint contractor. So I had put my master level of hours in painting walls and doing things like that, and construction and, building and all that kind of stuff. So I had become a master at that, or I say a master, a professional, and I came from 3 generations of paint contractors, so who were masters themselves and hard workers and all that kind of stuff. So, it wasn't a hard shift for me, but, that was 2006 when I was told that. Wow. And now I've sold millions of dollars worth of my artwork. And
that's awesome.
And I know last year I was one of the top selling artists in the country, and I'm in the top 1%, and there's no debate about it, but
legit.
And that was me selling every bit myself, me providing value to every one of my customers. That was no gallery selling my work. That was me delivering and installing every one of my pieces, free shipping, free delivery. Like, I provided all that value, but also I never gave up half of my worth to a gallery or somebody else, which anybody that wants to work with you, they're going to want half of your value. And for me, it's like, well, why would I do that? But I want to meet all my collectors. I want to, know where every one of my pieces are. So that's the difference.
Actually, instead of a transactional relationship with these clients, it's a value-based relationship where they actually have a relationship with you, the artist. A lot of people don't ever even meet the artist.
Most of them don't.
So you've flipped that paradigm.
Yeah.
You opened your own gallery down in the Design District.
Yep.
I mean, if that's not living a DIY life, I don't know what is.
And at that, there was a point to where my values have shifted, because at one point I had a dream of having 10 galleries across the country and going big. And then after I opened up my third one, there wasn't enough of me to go around. And after I would open up a new one and leave to go to the next one, I could never keep that one profitable because my hands-on weren't there, but people were coming for me. And so once I understood that dynamic, I was like, I'm going to go ahead and shift the value. Now I'm just going to do it on me. But for 4 years, I did it and I survived. But I walked away on my terms. I was lucky my lease ended March 14th this year.
Oh, right when this shit started.
Right when all this happened.
Wow.
My lease was up. And so I was given a huge gift, and I was like, oh, now the ball's in my court, because I call the shots.
Yeah.
And I got my next 3 months for $1,000 a month with tax included, when I was at $6,200 a month.
Damn.
With tax and overhead, before I paid my staff, where I did electricity, all that kind of stuff. So, I was carrying a, $15,000 to $17,000 a month overhead in March. And it was and I was fine. We were doing fine and everything, but it was I could do this, or, I pivoted and I went and got a storage unit for, that's 650 square feet for under $400 a month with electricity. And so I was like, I'm going to downsize. I'm going to take the rest of the year off. I'm going to take my daughter on a walk every day, which I've got a 1.5-year-old that science told us to abort her, when she was 12 weeks in the womb. That. So, we were told that she wasn't going to be any good. And, that was one of our main options. And, I'm a person of faith. So I'm like, okay, you think but you don't know.
Yeah.
Don't act like you know. I know you got all your degrees and all that kind of stuff, and you're an expert, but you don't know, you know. And she's perfectly fine and happy and healthy, and gives us joy every single day, So once we had that happen, we decided to shift our priorities. So I started, putting my time into the family and doing more stuff with them, and not focusing on work so much, where for several years, I was giving my career a 10. If you scale everything from 1 to 10, I was giving it a 10 over and over and over. Well, if I'm giving it a 10, I can't give my family. I can't be a 10 father. I can't be a 10 husband. I can't be a 10 son, a brother, like none of that. So going into 2020 this year, I decided to shift my numbers, and I said, okay, I'm going to be a 10 husband. I'm going to be a 10 father. I'm going to be a 5 businessman.
Gotcha.
Now you can still operate at a 10 level, but you don't have to give it, but I saw the downturn coming. I saw the numbers starting to taper down, and shows that I was doing, over 6 figures in a weekend were dropping 75% before the pandemic hit. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, it's here. Buckle up, Buttercup. It's time to make some changes. But I downsized and cut cost. And so my overhead but again, I shrunk up, because I want to see how all this unfolds. I'm going to let it all go. And then I believe whenever I bring my money back to the market, I'll buy my next spot. Mm-hmm. I won't have to lease it. I won't have to pay someone else's, because we know there's a retail apocalypse here.
Oh yeah.
And they're crushing small businesses right and left. So, and people are losing their jobs and all that kind of stuff's happening, but this is the time to start your own gig and work for yourself and become self-dependent instead of depending on someone else. But the time is now for that, to step your game up and go after your dreams. And, it was my dream to open a card shop. I did it. I got it. Now I'm ready to get out of it. Yeah. But I would rather sell out at the top than hold for the next bottom. But, I rode out the 90s crash in cards. And so everything is cyclical, and it's going to come back around.
For sure.
Just like these elections. They're playing us again with these elections. They're going to do the same thing they did in the 1870s, or where they didn't even know who their president was until inauguration day. And then, but now everybody, I just have a feeling they're going to flip the script on everybody. It's going to get overturned, because that causes the most chaos.
Chaos is where government thrives.
They love it.
And
they look for order out of chaos.
They do, and they look to they look to grab more power, because where there's chaos, there's fear, and where there's fear, you can capitalize, and that's unfortunate, but it's true as fuck, and we all know it is.
That's where everybody, I mean, fear rules most people's lives.
Yes, it does.
And, fear doesn't rule my life anymore. It did at one point in my life, but now faith rules my life. So I believe that I'm going to be put in the right position at all times, but I never go into life with expectations.
Right.
I go in with, there's a plan, and I'm just here to enjoy the plan and the journey as it goes along, and do my best in the moment, when it comes my way. And when someone comes my way that needs help, I do my best to help them. I do my best to be a light in the world. But this is a dark world we live in.
It is.
This is a sick and twisted world. And we have to operate out of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, like faithfulness. Those, if we can operate from those thought processes, and I like to call them like your sunglasses. Everybody's got a pair of sunglasses they're using, or they're looking at life through, or a lens. And when you put your racism glasses on, it's easy to see fault in people. But when you put your love and kindness glasses on, you don't get that stuff. You can't see that because it's not your way. It's not your focus, So most people focus on faults, and I focus on strengths.
Sure.
So when I look at you or anybody, I'm focusing on what I love about them.
Yeah.
But also, it's like my marriage. I focus on what I love about my wife and what she brings to the table, not what I'm not happy with in our marriage.
Right.
And if I focus on what I love about her every day, guess what? I have a fruitful and loving relationship.
When did that change for you, the shift from fear to faith?
It's been an ongoing process. It first started shifting for me. I had read a book, and I tried to read the book. It was given to me, and it took several times, but I ended up getting the audio tapes and polished it off. But I would listen to it every year, and it was Wayne Dyer, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. And it was a study of the Tao Te Ching, and it's like 81 verses on studying nature and how nature reacts in the world. So you use nature as your guide. So think about a tsunami or a hurricane, and think about how a palm tree reacts, in a hurricane. Well, a palm tree is flexible. Have you ever seen a palm tree uprooted? You don't see it happen. They don't happen.
Not very often.
And their root system is not big, and it's a ball, but they're flexible, So have you ever seen an oak tree uprooted?
Oh, yeah.
You ever seen one split in half?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's rigid. It's not flexible, So when we have storms in our lives, we have to remain flexible during the storm. And when it comes through, we got to bend with it, and instead of fighting up against it, because if you're rigid in that, you're going to get beat down, because it's that mindset of a rigid mindset, where for me, I have a flexible mindset. So when something comes my way, I bend with it, but it's not going to break me because I'm constantly going to go with the flow. And so, that was one of the lessons I learned, and I took that to heart, and then you have to form a habit. You got to form a new habit. So when I started painting love and hearts for people, the first painting I painted for you, he has one.
Yeah.
But the first one I painted for you, about a decade ago, but that was what kind of got us started. And I was just starting.
That was like 12 years ago.
At least, 9, 10, but probably one of my first ones. I remember
it was
a 4x4 painting.
It's got the series number on the back.
Yep.
Yeah.
And back then, I painted love because I wanted to, I had a lot of mindsets and that I needed to change. I had a lot of, influences that made me look at people with judgmental eyes or glasses. And so I was like, the only way I can change this is just to think about love daily. So I was like, if I can just paint love over and over and over, then it's going to make me look for love in people. It's going to make me, it's that positive energy that will overcome my doubt and fears and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I believe God is love. I believe love covers a multitude of sins. Those are religious and spiritual belief systems that I've accepted to be the
greatest
truth.
of these is love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, for me, I had to form a habit of loving others before I could really love myself. And then once I got in the habit of like, I love her just the way she is, I love him just the way he is, I love him just the way he is, and you just the way you are, I wouldn't change a thing about anybody.
Yeah.
But it's not my place to change you.
Right.
It's my place to be a light to you, and if you're in darkness, you're going to look at me and see light. You're going to see happiness. You're going to see joy. You're going to see all those things. But it wasn't a particular moment that shifted for me. It was that journey of making mistakes and failure over and over and over. And, there were those times where I went to go bid a job and I let a racial slur slip that wasn't my belief system, but it was what I had heard thousands of times, and it came out because someone was trying to talk me down in price. And I used it, but in that moment I apologized to the person immediately, took ownership and took fault instead of letting it go, because I knew that I had to do that whether I got the job or not. And guess what? I got the job. And even to the guy that it was offensive to, I apologized and said, I do not want to live that way, and I apologize for that, because, that was my past speaking through me, and it's not my future and my, myself today. And, but we got to own up. And I haven't made that statement ever again, and that was 15 years ago.
Wow.
But it was I had to go through that failure of that embarrassment to be able to come out the other side and change from it. But I believe that in the world we're in right now, people's dark sides are being pushed to the light. But the only thing to cure disease and weakness is light.
Yes,
and
it is.
Fear.
And salt.
Yeah. And so when we shift our mindset, I think that we have the ability to get everything that we want. And, people ask me, like, is it going good? I said, man, I'm living the dream.
Yeah.
I'm living in some kind of dream, but I'm living the dream because I've refused to look at it any other way.
When did you become conscious of the importance that mindset played in your life? Is there a time you can think of? Is there something you could put your finger on that right there is when I recognized that my mindset, my attitude is going to determine my altitude?
Yeah.
Or was it a gradual metamorphosis?
I remember the first time. I mean, so you got to realize that I grew up in a very conservative religious household. Been going to church since I was 5, and
welcome to the club.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
And I was going to, but I never had a relationship with God. I broke the rules. I was a rule breaker.
Sure.
They don't do that. Okay, I'm going to do it.
Outlaw.
I'm going to find, so, and that could be my last name being Lawley. There's something about me being a lawbreaker, but also there's one side of my family that has a history of that and another side of my family that doesn't. So could it be genetics? Without a doubt.
The two wolves.
Could be,
Yeah.
And so for me, I had, after breaking the rules for so long, it came to a head, and I had to spend some time behind bars at a young age, at 22, 23, after having graduated from college. And it's not something that I've come out and pushed out to the forefront, but I've never hid it from anybody. But I had all these past issues, and it landed me behind bars. So there was a period in my life where I had to, for 9 months and 2 days, I had all my rights and everything taken from me, where I had to go live with the worst of the worst. But I had done things in my life that time that put me in there, and I should have been in there longer for all the stuff that I got away with in my life. So I accept that. Well, I found out I was artistic in there, and that's how I made my money, doing tattoos and homemade tattoo guns, and I found my MacGyver, my inner MacGyver self, But
I love that, inner MacGyver.
And I didn't have it wasn't my training or any of that kind of stuff, but I had learned, I was going through this rehab program inside there, and it was for a CCA, which is a Corrections Corporation of America, is where I was in. And, I had to do a year day for day, but I was running with some bad dudes, cartel people. And but I was a bodyguard and a fighter. So I had put myself in that position, but that was my dream, was to be a bodyguard for celebrities. And I had a chance to do that for big name celebrities in the music industry and athletes. And so I was getting those kind of gigs at a young age. Well, after getting into the drugs and sex, rock and roll, all that kind of stuff. It came to where one day I woke up with guns in my face, and whole SWAT came in and busted our stuff and took all of our stuff. So I went from living up here to living down here, and when I finally went back in, it was 8 days after 9/11. When 9/11 happened. And we all remember where we were at and when we saw that and that paradigm shift that we went through. Now, do we question the validity of that today? You better, or you're not paying attention.
Yeah, if you,
so,
if you don't have questions.
If you know anything about thermodynamics and, steel burning temperature,
concrete,
that kind of
a lot reinforced concrete.
Yeah, and numbers and, numerologies and all kinds of stuff that you could educate yourself with more information to make a wise decision on that. But, I went through that at 22 years old. So I was very thankful now having gone through that, because one, that made me tough, because I got jumped by guys in there. I got jumped by gang members in there. But, I was 350 and roided out when I went in there. And you think that, someone with 10 years of martial arts experience is not going to be able to handle themselves from some gang member that, is a $160 wet and acting like he's bad because he got tattoos all up and down. It's all like, when you're in there, it's a different world. But, I went through my midlife crisis at 23 years old. But I remember, in this program, we had to sit in quiet chairs. Like if someone could hear you from 10 feet away, you would go on a quiet chair list because they're trying to break you. Their whole thing was trying to break you and to get you to throw your program, so then you get kicked back into general pop, because we got to watch TV, we got to play PlayStation, we got to serve food to everybody. We had all the priorities because they got the most funding for that program, and I was a part of that program. Well, I remember being in the quiet chair for about 5 days straight. They were trying to break me, but I had... in that, I learned that I could visualize. I mean, I can picture myself rocking back and forth, staring at a wall up on the catwalk, and visualizing playing golf with my buddy or my dad or somebody. And I would go through 4 or 5 hours being up there, and it seemed like it was just a few minutes.
It's almost like meditation.
It's definitely meditation,
yeah.
And I didn't know it as meditation there, but I would close my eyes and I would visualize setting the ball down, and I would making a joke with my dad. And of course, everybody thought I was crazy because I was up there talking to myself or whatever, but I was able to go up there 5 days straight and not break. And not break my program and get thrown back in and have to do the 100% of my time.
What do they do in the quiet chair? You just have to sit there and not say or do
nothing,
anything?
Can't turn around, can't do anything. And
like
if
you're in detention?
It's like detention. It's like detention for adults.
For grown 350-pound men.
Well, and, you got murderers in there. You got every kind of person in the world. And I remember one of the days that really made a difference in my life was there was this level 3 intern and once you graduate the program, you got to stay in and you got to get nacho. You got to kind of run the shop. You had graduated, and you could spend your time out there. Well, I remember I was taking a nap one day, and then they came and woke me up from my nap and said, "Hey, you're on the quiet chair list." And when I'd first gotten there, and I was like, sleeping the whole time. Like, how am I on a quiet chair list when I'm sleeping? Yeah. I know I don't snore that loud, is what I'm thinking. And you got to realize this is a 6-foot metal bed, and I'm 6'6".
Yeah.
And you got a foam like this,
right?
And so I'm living in that with a couple other dudes in the room. And, but I remember I went out and I was like, they're not going to break me. So I sat up there and they called me to come down, and I stayed. And they're like, Lawley, come down. I'm like, nah, I'm good. And I just stayed up there and I ignored them. And then after a day went by, because you could only go in during lockdown whenever they're going to do roll calls and things like that. And after a day, I went back in the next morning. And I went and got my chair and I just sat up there during breakfast, and they're like, Lawley, get down. You ain't got to be up here. And then I just sat up there and waited, and I just was like, you're not going to break me. But I was so egotistical. I was like, oh, I graduated from college and I was a bodyguard. And, I thought I was something special, but I was like, I'm going to show them that I did nothing wrong to be in here. But I'm going to show them that they can't break me. Well, it was a dude that came by. One of the level 3 guys came up to me. C. Webb was his name. They put your first in it. So I was T. Lawley. He was C. Webb. And he came up and he said, you know who else did nothing and got persecuted? He's like, Jesus. And then that broke me down in that moment. But that's what I needed to hear after 2 days of being in the quiet chair when I was going to prove them all wrong. But I needed a crackhead to tell me that. So that was one of those memories that I have that made a big difference, and take myself out of the picture and have a more worldly view and a more, there's 7 billion opinions in the world. And if you think your opinion is the only one that matters, you're clueless,
Yes, you are.
So, those were times that made a big impact in my life. And, and of course, going to church your whole life and having a foundation of love and, things like that, those were, but also had a foundation of judgment. That
I was going to say, a lot of times that religion thing, the church thing, there's some love in there, but there is most definitely judgment. Now, whether or not that's actually in the Bible or not is, I guess, up for debate. I see a lot more love in there than judgment from Jesus and God, but a lot of times the people who we run across in the church are very, very judgmental.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that comes from a fear base.
Well, and that's everybody, no one wants to believe that they're wrong. No one wants to believe that their truths are wrong, so they're going to fight for that. Mm-hmm. But every religion, every language, every race has their Jesus. They have their God that they're passionate about and they're willing to die for.
Right.
Every single one of them. But, on a spiritual plane, there is no physicality in the spiritual world.
Right.
There's no tangible bodies or any of that kind of stuff. So to call a God Yahweh or, Jehovah or, they're just words. And you can't get wet from the word water or Wasser or agua or H2O or whatever. Water's water,
right.
We're limiting it by giving it a name, so when people try to control other people through their belief system, that's just, to me, I can't do that. I can tell you what I believe, but this is just my belief system and what I've, experienced in my life to what I believe to be true. And I will go to my deathbed happy with those choices, and happy with that decision, for those truths. But I believe my truths are based out of goodness,
Is your mindset and your daily mindset something that you are conscious of daily and that you are consciously and constantly trying to improve upon?
Yeah, for sure. But, my mindset now has, once you've been doing it for so long or you've been educating yourself and I try to take my ego out of it. I want to be humble and I want to act like water and find the lowest position. Water always flows to the lowest point.
And it always wins.
It always wins.
It kills, it destroys.
Gives life.
It does
everything.
It is the be-all, end-all.
Yeah, and when you look at our brain and how much our brain is water, and you look at how much of our body is water, how much of the planet is water, and water is the source of all life, and light is right there behind it, So when you can understand the world at a fundamental level like that, you should be able to change, because, if I yell at you, I give your water a negative energy. And how you deal with that is, we've learned from metaphysics that one thought has the ability of changing a neutral part of your cellular nucleus, your neutrons, electrons, and protons, but your neutrons have the ability to change to electrons or protons, or protons are positive energy and electrons are negative energy. And so if electricity just in the house, what happens if you cross your positive and your negative? Yep. So that's a powerful, explosive energy. Well, when our minds, if we can control our minds, then we can control our neutrons and we can give more power to our protons or our electrons at a cellular level that can't be seen in our body. So if you think about your thoughts, every thought you put into the world is what you're going to get back from the world. So if you're putting in positive thoughts all day long to everybody that you see and loving kindness, all that kind of stuff, just imagine the world that you're painting for your future. Imagine what's going to come by doing that, but also you don't carry the weight of negativity. And, I had read another book called Power versus Force by Dr. Hawkins. So, if you know Power versus Force, it gave a numerical scale to all energies, but the world operates at about 180, which is despair. 99.9% of the world is operating their lives out of despair. Well, I choose to operate out of love, because love in that book was 500. Well, it gave Jesus 1,000-point scale as perfect, and then like Mother Teresa was in the 700s, and Gandhi, like they gave a scale to all these people, but he just tested how through kinesiology how the body responds to certain stimulus. It's like if we're going to arm wrestle and you're thinking about what's hurt you most in your life, and I'm thinking about what I love most in my life, I'm going to have more strength if our strengths were equal, because you're operating from a place of weakness.
Should we do an experiment right here?
I don't know that we're equal, so, I don't know that our strengths are equal, but, maybe.
It looks like you've been hitting the
I've been hitting the cheesecakes and the cookies, but, I put on my my COVID-15 pounds, I think.
You said you got the COVID mop going too.
I do, yeah.
I love it.
I'm growing the hair out, guys.
It's beautiful.
Check this out.
That's almost that Sam Elliott.
You know who I'm going for?
Who?
Dalton.
Yeah.
From Roadhouse.
From Roadhouse.
So until I get there, let me go ahead and give you a little shake.
Look at that action. Look at that lettuce.
Well,
beautiful.
I've never grown my hair out in my life.
Really?
Well, the last time I did was when I was in the Pokey.
When you met
which
me,
now I call art school.
Now you call the Pokey art school.
I haven't had the conversations with my kids yet. But I don't want to lie to them.
Sure.
I'm not going to lie to them.
Yeah.
I want them to learn from my mistakes, but we're not there yet. Now, Haven's Googling me, and so who knows? She may listen to this and learn, that way. But if that's the case, that's the case.
Yeah.
But I don't, I know that if I went through that, I would be a much worse father than I am today. Without a doubt.
Yeah, it's a hell of a perspective.
But that's a failure, like ultimate failure. But failure is the best teacher you'll ever have. The
most successful people in the world say that they learn the most from failures, not from the wins, but from the losses.
Well, I remember in 2019, I was praying for failure. And I'd had my best year ever. But I was like, the only thing that's going to get me to $1 million a year is to go through some massive failure. And I was turning down $30,000 commissions for my artwork in February because I was so busy. I was so backed up. I was so stressed. And now I'm caught up. I got one left. I'm finished one today for a client that flew in from Miami last night or 2 nights ago.
To pick it up?
Just to come order one. Just to come see me, but flew down just for the night to meet with me. And,
that's awesome.
So I'm still there, and I'll be painting the rest of my life. But now I think the next 10 years, the evolution of my career will be telling the story like this with those thousands of people that have put the focus of love in their life.
Sure.
And telling that story so I can leave that legacy to my little girls,
Is your creative limitless and boundless, or do you have to foster that creativity? Do you run up against writers get writer's block? Do artists get artist block?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt they do. But if you paint in the flow, so for me, I'm an inspired painter. I paint in the moment. I've taught myself to paint fast because when I complicate it, I screw it up and it looks contrived or it just doesn't have the same flavor, or flow. So I've made a lot of money painting out of flow. In that flow state. So I don't believe my well's ever going to be dry because I'm open-minded and I know that the ultimate creative spiritual energy flows through me freely when I show up to work.
Do you pump up the jams? Have you got Grateful
yeah.
Dead rolling? Or
no, I don't. Like right now I'm probably, my thumbprint, if you were to listen to it, it's a mix of Brother Ali to Atmosphere to Kings of Leon to...
You love Kings of Leon. I do too.
And I have a personal, relationship with a couple of those guys, so that makes it different to me. But, I just listen to, I like all things, but if I'm doing something that's a little harder, I may put some classical music on. But I grew up in that hip hop era, so that was what I like. And sometimes I'll just throw instrumental on, and some of those guys are real colorful in their language. And like listen to Gary Vee all day. If you listen to Gary Vee all day, there's a good chance you're going to drop some F-bombs throughout the day. Yeah. So I wanted to shift my F-bombs I was throwing out for after listening to him and being influenced by that New York, it's like listening to Trump all day.
Yeah.
Trump is a New Yorker.
Yeah.
It's how he communicates.
Right.
Like if you expect him to change his communication style at 74 years old,
Yeah, you're smoking crack, man.
smoking something, or it's just unreal expectations. So,
Well, we all have unreasonable recommendations of our leaders. I mean, anyone in leadership is canonized like there's some sort of saint who is without sin, and no one walked this earth except for one man, if you're faith-based, who was without sin. Yep. So it doesn't matter if it's your own father that you idolize, or a president, or some badass CEO. Are all just men and women. We all have faults, shortcomings. People forget that very easily.
When I think about Jesus, and we think that he was 100% man, and now I'm starting to question, like, well, if the Spirit came into Mary at 14 and impregnated her with this perfectness of God, well, half of Jesus' genetics are spiritual and perfect.
Yeah, we need to do a DNA test there.
But again,
no, you're right.
If that happened like it did, because if you look at now, like we're in the COVID, stage now to where, Cuomo said yesterday that we got to have 330 million vaccines by October. So he's expecting to vaccinate everybody.
Right.
But if you look into the COVID vaccine and what it is about, it's about your RNA.
Yeah.
And what they're wanting to do is they're wanting to take a little snippet of your God-made DNA and RNA. They want to take it out and put a synthetic one in there that says, okay, you can no longer have COVID. But guess what? They're going to give you COVID in that vaccine.
Right.
So...
Well, this is Como, who killed a whole bunch of the elderly by making awesome decisions at the onset of all of this, even when he was told not to and warned about it, but he's the be-all, end-all.
Well, and look at where the majority of those deaths came from and what the decision was in those states that were ran by that leadership.
Yeah.
And it was all putting them in the elderly care facilities. Yeah. When they had Javits Center. Have you ever been to New York and been to the Javits Center? It's huge.
It is.
And they had tons and thousands of beds in there, and they didn't use them.
And they had the Mercy and the Comfort, and they didn't use those either. And so you're trying to tell me that wise decisions were made,
and he's going to lead the task force.
Yeah.
In this next, president-elect, which I just changed my Twitter handle to President-elect Tanner Lawley.
Do you identify as president? I kept seeing people say, we just got to identify as and then
president.
You are. Yeah.
And then, hey, if you think
you got my vote, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I believe I can communicate. I do believe that much. So, and I believe
got a skill for that.
And I can not get worked up, and, I can talk to people with respect and things like that, but I don't want the job, honestly. But I can't get the job anyway. I burnt those rights years ago.
Well, that's true.
But that's okay. But we got a new world we're coming into.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you think, it's funny to think about whenever we had first had this interview scheduled, what we would have been talking about at that point to where what we're talking about now is worlds apart.
Just a couple of weeks and things are crazy right now.
Well, and this is the year there's, to me, the more and more I look at it, and just words mean things. Think about back in March this year. March, Friday the 13th was in March, okay? Right before March Madness was going to happen in the NCAA. You have 2020 vision.
I was going to say, what does 2020 vision mean? It means you see clearly.
So all these things we've heard our whole life, had some kind of something that came in this year, so we're at that point to where this is our 9/11 event. This is for the younger generation, this is their 9/11 event, and imagine the change. Look at the change that happened after 2001. In tech, look at the change that happened, and look at the TSA. And who loves TSA? Nobody.
No.
And that's got to be one of the poorest run, departments ever. There's always 40 or 50 guys.
Them or the post office.
And now we're seeing the post office. But, I think we're at a point to where, if I had to bet where we're going to be 2 months from now, I don't know that we'll still know who our president is. I think it's still going to be getting fought in court, and it's going to go to the Supreme Court, and but I believe Trump's going to, it's going to flip in Trump's favor.
Scary.
But I'm just going off of energy. I'm going off of passion for the guy. I was looking as an independent and as someone that didn't trust Trump or Hillary last election in 2016, and I went libertarian. I went for Johnson. I was more impressed that he climbed 7 mountains in his lifetime.
Yep.
One of them with a broken foot.
That's a hell of a resume bullet point.
That's more impressive to me than making $1 billion.
Yeah.
But I can see clearly. But then I shifted to where I support Trump. I look at what he's done, and I'm happy with the job he did, but also believe that I think he's one of the most effective yet worst communicators out there.
It's very odd.
but he brought light to a lot of dark situations that this country's been dealing with.
We have
for a long time.
People, the spotlight on human trafficking's never been brighter than it is now, and he deserves a lot of the credit for that.
Well, and as a dad of 3 daughters,
Yeah.
that's more important to me than anything. And
No
my
doubt.
job is to keep them safe and off the pole. I hate to say it, but that's my main job as a father.
Yeah, it is.
And as long as I don't abuse them, in any way, they're going to turn out to be good daughters.
You bet.
Think of all the girls that that had good father figures in their life, but think of all the people that had good fathers in their life, no matter what race or ethnic, whatever, I don't care, male, female, a good father figure makes all the difference in the world.
Big time.
So that's my most important thing now, is to be a good father figure to my girls. And if I'm a good father figure to my girls, then I know I'm going to be a good husband. I know I'm going to be a good Christian. I know I'm going to be a good brother and philanthropist. You can name, you'll have goodness follow you the rest of the days of your life.
Absolutely. How did your life change when you became a father for the first time?
Oh man, it was the best thing. And we lost one. So my first baby was a son, and I held him in my hand when we lost him at our house when we lived in Bishop Arts area, but doctors were involved. They said there was no heartbeat, and then they gave her a medicine and she passed it a day or so later. But, I held him in my hand, so having dealt with that situation, and it killed me. I mean, it was several days I was crying, and now I've come to the fact that he wasn't perfect, and if he would have been fine, he would have been here. But there was a reason I needed to go through that, but also needed to make some changes in my life. And then when I had Haven, my life gained another step. Each kid I've had, or, that we've, every time we've been through that, my love grows bigger, but also work harder. With this third one, I said, Tanner, you don't need to work any harder. You've worked hard enough for a long time. Now you need to be a father. You need to work harder being a better father and being there and communicating and, establishing that relationship and things like that. So, I had to shift that, but, now I've got 3 girls. I just shut down my business, I just did all these things this year, but to me it was the right, thing. But I've already prepared for the bad stuff. I've got food storage. I've got generator power. I've got a greenhouse. I got chickens. I've got all that stuff in my homestead, so I'm prepared for what's coming. But, if you can't see, there's probably a civil war coming whenever whoever loses is going to be mad.
Very.
One side's got all the guns, and the other side's got all the matches.
I don't think people,
and
I haven't heard that one. That's great.
Well, that just came
all
to me in
matches.
spirits. So, looking at all the stuff that's burned up. But again,
they got the bricks and the matches.
And the thing is we got to get together and go against the people that are trying to push us against each other.
That's right.
And that's the only way we're ever going to get, move forward, is to see equality in each other.
Well, that comes down to actually being the change that you want to see.
Without a doubt.
And that's little things like what you said the other night about, that kindness. You'll get a long, long way in life with kindness.
Yeah, and it's the easiest, most underrated asset you have.
It's not easy for some people, though.
Yeah, I get it.
They operate so badly from that fear base that it's the immediate reaction of that fear base is this anger, this acerbic, I'm going to attack you.
Yeah.
And when you're like you and I, and you recognize where that's coming from, you can almost beat that by being water, where that's fire. We're talking water again, with kindness. Hey man, I get it. Hey, I'm here to help.
Yeah.
You know, let's figure this out together.
Same team,
yeah.
You know,
we're pulling in the same direction, and they're coming at you, coming in hot.
Yeah.
But if you go back with some empathy and you listen,
well, it's like in
ways.
April of this year, I got rid of all my social media channels, and it was
you were off Facebook a while.
I got off Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I deleted all my content, and it was when the Blackout Tuesday happened, when the Black Lives Matter movement hit, and I'm one of those that loves everybody. I'm like, dude, everybody matters, but I had realized before I made a post about that I would offend somebody that I love, you know. Actually, I would offend everybody that I love.
Yeah.
Because it was so divided. Because, yes, I believe Black Lives Matter without a doubt. I believe brown, white, yellow. I believe it all matters. But I couldn't say that at that time without offending somebody that I love. So I said, you know what? I need to be silent, and I need to learn from listening to others.
Quiet chair.
So I listened to others, and I listened, and I was like, well, how can I do, even though I believe this, how can I do my part? Well, one simple thing that I did was when I'm going in the store and I'm opening a door, if I see anybody coming, I don't care what color they are, I'm going to hold it for them. But I'm going to make sure that I wait and hold the door for them, everybody, every single person, And I'm like, well, that's one way I can do it. And then I can smile at them. And those were two things I said, what's something that I can do to make a difference? Now, is it going to change racism? Is it going to do any of that kind of stuff? In the moment, it does.
In the moment, it does.
In the moment, and that's all that I can do.
Well, that's your salt and light thing, though.
It is.
Being the salt, being the light. It's the little things, though. People don't realize how much the little things add up and how actually important they are.
Yeah.
And you can make someone's day. We don't realize the pain some people are in. You guys like you and I who've been through some stuff, we do.
Yeah.
But there's people who float through life, they don't realize the inner turmoil, the emotional torment that some people are in, that just, hey, thank you to the cashier at the grocery store, holding the door for someone, can really brighten their day. I know for a fact that it takes some people back from the edge of the ultimate despair when you just do something with a little bit of warmth and a little bit of kindness in it.
I love, one of the things I learned from that Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life was a quote by Mother Teresa. And she had said, go look for someone who believes they're alone in this world and prove them wrong. So, and that was one of the best things I had heard, because it's like, it's like, that's all I got to do is just look for somebody that is alone. And then that is looking for anything, just hanging on to whatever. But if you just treat them, just be kind to them, and you don't have to give them your money. You don't have to do anything. You just got to be nice to them, and so that was one of the ways that I was able to make a change. And, I struggle now to where I'm so giving. I want to give everybody that's asked for money. Right. But then I see the same person at the same corner every week, and then the day I drove by a dude and he pulled out his wallet and had a stack of cash in there, and and then he's walking over, getting in his car and driving away, and all, and again, like, I want to be mad at that person. I was like, man, I'm not going to give him money. He's just going to go spend it on drugs. And I'm like, well, that's what everybody else does.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want to give someone else money. They want to keep their money so they can get it on their drugs. And everybody's on some kind of drug, caffeine, sugar, whatever. It's all a form
anger,
of
fear.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's all, egotism and
adrenaline.
Yep. So every bit of that is a drug that changes our state of mind, but most people are just so beat down that they can't look up. And right now, when I look at the world and where it's going, like, there's major shifts happening right now in the financial sector that most people are clueless over, because they're too worried about orange man is bad, or there's no rigging of the elections. Like, are you kidding me? They're like, you can trust the elections. And then I'm like, last 4 years, I was saying we couldn't. Yeah. And then, like,
it's time to heal, bro.
It's time to heal. But, and I look at this, you're right, it is time to heal. Well, are they going to be ready to heal when if it gets flipped on them, are they going to be ready to heal then?
I don't know.
I doubt it.
I doubt it.
I doubt it. Just looking at the, but some people heal differently. And again, I'm hoping if things come my way or if someone comes at me with anger or fear or whatever, I pray that I'm strong enough in the moment to return that fear with love and compassion and kindness and take them off that, because most people that deal fear for fear and screaming and yelling and, all that, can't see it.
Yeah.
They're
blinded by it.
They're blinded, but also they can't communicate once it comes to them in that way.
True.
And when you don't raise your voice and someone's coming at you and you speak at a low tone, they're just...
It throws them off, man.
Like, I got a buddy of mine that we go back and forth in political banter, and he's a Democrat and I'm an independent, and, and set in his ways will never not be that. But we're always friends. But when I stump him, oh, I got to go. Somebody's just walked in.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah.
So, but again, it's like, you got no proof.
I got to go.
But we can go back, and I'm still going to love him forever.
I got another call coming in, bro. I got to go.
My mom's calling or whatever.
Yeah.
But again, I guess that's the joy of friendship,
Yeah.
But no matter what he believes or what, I'm still going to love him, and I'm still going to love, like, even the people that want to change everything. Like, I still love them, like, they need love too, without a doubt,
100%.
And it's my job to give that love, in my opinion,
As ambitious as you are, because ever since I've known you, you know me when I was back big time into rugby with the long hair, and Johan is a good friend of both of ours.
Yep.
But you've always been ambitious. Just serial entrepreneur, very ambitious guy. Has it been difficult for you to take this step back in the last 6-8 months?
Man, it's so hard.
Is it?
It's so hard, because when you work that muscle every day, and you got to realize, I'm a convicted felon, so when you have that as your resume after your degrees, and because all that stuff gets thrown away, but that's the thing that sticks with you. I had to work extra hard to get past it, but I don't want to hear anybody complain about, I've been to jail. There's no way to, there's not. It's tough. Yes, you're right. It's tough. But if you prove yourself, you change your ways, you can make, you can get whatever you want. So for me, when I was learning to be an artist, after I'd been told I couldn't do it and all this kind of stuff, I was working 2 full-time jobs. So I had trained myself to work 80 hours a week for the last decade, 70, 80 hours, and just put the work in. When I put my, I make sure I'm at home every night to put my girls to bed, and I'm in that quality time. But when they go to bed, my wife goes to bed, guess what I do? I go work.
Yeah.
And I get up early and I go work. And so, but I love to work and I love to make things, but I'm doing what I'm passionate about. Like, I get to paint paintings and get paid buckets of cash for something that flows out of me effortlessly, because I get my ego out of the way and I just let God work through me. And it's really that simple. And I'm painting the simplest form of a symbol in the world, but able to pull in millions of dollars from it.
Yeah.
But simplicity is where genius lies. And most people, want to complicate things and think that their education makes them have to do whatever. Like, I'm working on a commission right now of a 7x5 Wonder Woman, and I've been working on it for years. But I sold the painting. I might have had an hour and a half in it. She didn't have a face, and the guy's like, I love it, I want it. And I was like, well, I'm not done yet. My ego's like, oh, I need to fix this, and I need to show him how good I can really be. And I had this vision of it. Well, I should have sold it and said, hey, what kind of frame you want on that?
Yeah.
But since then, I've put hundreds of hours in it.
You took it out of God's hands, bro.
And I've repainted it. Oh, man.
Damn.
I went, actually, the other day, I just got through and I was like, and then I just like, it sucks. So I took a sander and I sanded the whole thing down.
Oh, no.
And this thing's as big as this wall, and I'm still struggling to get that extra, $10K plus coming my way, for the other half of that painting.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here like, you dummy, and, I should have known better, but I felt bad because it only, I was like, I can't take 20-something thousand from this dude. And, and I got an hour and a half in it, but you know what? I should have, I could have. But in that moment, that hour and a half was perfect because God was flowing through me in that moment. And I was just having fun, but when I made it a job, and I made it now I got to make him happy and all the stuff that I have to fix, all the things that he don't like about it, and is there a chance that I'll give him his money back? Maybe.
Yeah. If
I can't get it here soon, I'm just going to be like, here's your 10K, and then honestly, I would probably put an hour into it, and I would probably knock it out of the park and sell it to somebody else for more money.
When the pressure's off.
When the pressure's off
Yeah.
and I'm having fun with it again,
Yeah.
you know. So, but those are lessons I'm learning every day, you know. And for me to be able to pull back and scale back that work ethic, it was tough, but I had to shift it into something else. And so I shifted into the card business, and I shifted it into getting my homestead right, getting my house ready to sell, you know, getting some of that equity out, you know, because I got a lot of equity in my house, but it's not making me any money.
Right.
You know, it's saving me money, but I'm ready to sell out, take my cash out, go buy a homestead, you know, pay cash for it and not owe. Like, I look at what I pay in interest and taxes in Dallas County.
It's high, man.
I mean, over $2,000 a month just in interest and taxes, and only like a couple $100 to go into principal. And I've got half of my equity in the home, and that's still the numbers I'm playing with.
Yeah.
You know, and when I closed down my business this year, my taxes went up from $8,200 a month for my studio in Dallas to $12,200 a month in 1 year.
Hot dang.
You know, so when I saw that, I was like, where's it going to be in 3 years?
Yeah.
Especially now that we got free money hitting everywhere,
Yep.
but I think that they're changing the financial structure right now, and I believe that by next year we'll be on a digital currency worldwide. I mean, without a doubt, you know. But I follow like you asked what I was passionate about.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about numbers and finance, and
Yeah.
international finance and remittance payments and all that kind of crypto. But I've been into the crypto space since 2016. I sold out at 18.6 when Bitcoin was, you know, a day away from its all-time high. I sold out the day before, you know. Like,
How'd you decide to do that?
you know, I was talking to my business partner that got me into the gallery at the time. He was the financer. I was the talent. Well, after a year, he left. He had made his money. It was like we started to lose money, and he was like, yeah, this ain't for me. So I went all in on me. But at that time, I would say, man, I'm up. I said, you got to look into this Bitcoin thing. And I say, man, I was getting in at 5, 6, and now I'm selling that at 18. It's 18.6 today. I think it's going to go to 100 grand is what I said at the time. And he's like, Tanner, you should probably take some profits. And I was like, man, I'm going to ride this one out. But then I was like, you know what? He's right. And I listened. You know, but I think the Spirit speaks to us through people daily, but most of the times we're too focused on our own ego and what we believe to be right, and we don't listen to Spirit when it comes to us through her or him or whoever. So, you know, if you're looking for criticism or you're looking about your job, the truth is told to you all the time, but most people don't listen. It just in one ear out the other because they're so focused on this, where for me, you know, like when someone says whatever to me, you know, like, man, that painting sucks, like, you know, and I don't take it as the end all be all, but I say, I wonder why they think it sucks, you know. And I remember getting my art education from master level artists that had all the degrees, but you know, I took this guy said this one thing and I agree with that after it hurt. You know, but when someone says something that hurts your feelings, that's the good stuff. That's the stuff that you're like, you know what, I need to do better. You know, I need to and learn from that. So for me, I welcome it. Anybody out there that wants to point out something about me, please bring it on. I will gladly thank you for the cheap lesson I'm about to learn.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's where you grow, and that's how you get better. And, you know, so
Most people bristle at criticism. I mean,
I look forward to it because that's when people are being their most honest.
Yeah.
People don't tell the truth anymore. I mean, it's easier for my 9-year-old to find pornography online than it is for us as adults to find the truth. Mm-hmm. That's a problem.
That's crazy.
But think about
true.
it. How true is that?
Yeah.
You know, so
everything's being censored.
And everything's being dramatized. And, you know, when you go back and forth politically with your friends and they're like, well, look at this article I found that's telling the truth and fact check this and fact check that. I'm like, oh, I'm believing this guy? And you could just tell by the tone of their voice and their adjectives that they use whose side they're on. Yeah. You know, but everybody's there's so much disinfo out there that no one knows what's up. But guess what? The CIA did their job.
Yeah.
That was their whole goal.
Right.
is to create so much division that they, we're all like, and then we just want to fight each other.
Yeah.
But I'm not a fighter anymore. I've been there. I've done that, but I've been shot at and I've been, cut, and I've been able to go through those experiences, at a young age. But I'm thankful for every one of them, because now I feel like I'm tough and there's nothing I can't survive through.
Yeah.
But like, I know there's a chance you gave me COVID today. Like, I get that, and I'm
Didn't
okay
give
with
you
it.
COVID, bro.
And
Plus COVID's just the flu.
I mean COVID's. It's actually just the common cold, But and everybody's had it. And I know people are dying. But luckily, the flu's deaths have just like.
So the flu's way down.
They're non-existent this year.
And I got a question, man. So the government's they're gonna make mask mandates for everyone. COVID has supposedly killed 200,000 people. I mean, that's at least what the hospitals are claiming. So they get their $35K a death. But smoking kills 500,000 people, if not more, a year, and I still see that cigarettes are legal. So if the government is truly very interested in our health as a people, then I don't understand why that's
We'd get
legal.
rid of fast food. We'd get rid of
Pepsi,
abortion.
Yeah.
What about abortion?
I don't know, man. You're stepping on some toes now.
But that's I mean, how many babies have we killed
loss
in
of
America?
life. Is it about loss of life, or is it not? Because it's obviously not, and that's the point here.
They want to keep us in the circle, and they want to keep us disease-ridden and all that. I mean, because that's where the money is, But the only thing we can do is take our time and energy away from them. Mm-hmm. The only thing you can do if you really want to make a difference, and cut the apps off your phone.
Yeah.
Don't get a phone.
Yeah.
I mean, but could you imagine that?
Actually, yeah.
But I know you can imagine it.
That seems like nirvana.
But how many minutes a day are you not within an arm reach of your phone?
I mean,
I take it in the shower with me, and I'm watching YouTube videos while I'm showering, and I know I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
I know I'm not the only one. So, but that's how addicted we are to that screen time.
Mm-hmm.
And, we all have the little screen time clicker time clock of how much.
A little tabulator.
What's the most you've been on your screen in a day? Or that it's said. I mean, that you've noticed.
I think it said, 17 hours.
In one day?
Yeah.
Wow. The most I've done is like 11.
Yeah. No, I'm emailing, texting, calling,
searching
Googling,
the internet,
hitting our
rabbit
CRM,
holes.
YouTube.
You
do looking at P&Ls. Yeah, you're just staring at that.
And you've made a big shift to where you're putting your whole life out there now, and you got people following you around, and you're going all in on this, to build that foundation of just being an expert in the field. I assume that's what the goal is.
Yeah.
And sharing that story and connecting with people, and but that's a lot of work. It's a lot of info out there, and I was trying to do that, and the Christian side of me doesn't want to deal with vanity to that level. Like I was to the point to where if I look on your Instagram page and you have more than 3 selfies, I think you're too vain for me.
Yeah.
But look at all the girls and look at all the people that are, but it's just all, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And please give me a heart or a like so I can validate my self-worth.
Yeah.
But my self-worth isn't in your opinion. I don't find self-worth in that.
You don't.
I don't. But
a lot of people do.
Most people do.
Have you seen that? Did you see the documentary?
Social Dilemma?
Yeah.
You're the 4th person that said that to me this week.
Really?
Asked me that.
Yeah.
And I've said no to every one of them. I've studied some of those guys, so I was hearing those guys say this stuff for the last 6-7 years before they made it to a documentary. But I cut my Netflix. Like I still got it, but when everybody watched Tiger King, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, you did yourself a favor there.
I know I did.
It's a waste.
But I was very suspicious of everything that was being put into us during March Madness.
Yeah.
I was very suspicious of how everything came out immediately, and how you think about all the Contagion movies, and they put all those to the forefront, to shape our mindset and our point of view. And I said, you know what? I'm going to sit back and see how this one folds out. Now, I've heard the story, but I know a lot of people that have been through some traumatic stuff that like almost was set off from Tiger King.
Really?
I've seen I've seen several things happen with friends of mine that just, their lives bubbled to a head during that time. or after that time, or, it's like, but that was very influential in their life. Think about how big Tiger King was during that period.
It was very big.
The biggest thing on the planet.
I mean, Carol Baskin definitely killed her husband, bro.
Well, I don't know,
you don't
but
know anything about
it wouldn't
that.
surprise me.
Yeah.
I've heard that, and everybody says the same thing.
She did. Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of people that killed their spouses.
He's in a facility in Fort Worth.
Is he?
Is where he's being held, Tiger King. He's in a federal facility in Fort Worth, and he got COVIDs.
Well, everybody got it.
Everybody.
I just want to know when are they going to have when's the testing going to be 100% accurate?
I don't know, man, because it's crazy. You see Nick Saban, Alabama, he tested positive, and he's like, nah. And he took 2 more tests, and it was... So the tests aren't even accurate.
The last I heard was 93% inaccurate.
Well, Ben Roethlisberger tested positive, then took 2 subsequent tests and tested negative.
See, and I'm such a conspiracy guy that I'm like, where did those swabs come from?
That's what I'm saying.
How do I know that swab doesn't have COVIDs on it?
Right.
I don't know. But I don't trust the CDC.
Yeah.
I definitely don't trust Fauci. I know he's an expert.
You got to copyright that COVIDs term.
The COVIDs?
Right?
It's not mine. It's somebody else's. I think it's Jeff Berwick, the dollar vigilante. He's been scrubbed off everything. But,
of course.
And I had learned about all the tax advantages of going to Puerto Rico from him. Like they have a 4% IRS tax. So, but they're still a part of the, American
territory.
Yeah, so the territory. So, if you're being highly taxed here, if you go set up a business in Puerto Rico, a corporation, you're tax free for the first 7 years.
Yep.
If you're the first one to get a title on a property, you're 7 years of no property tax.
Wow.
But you're taxed at 4% as opposed to 30, 40 or whatever here. So huge tax advantages of going to Puerto Rico. Now it's third world in areas, and they got, but you just got to get a Tesla power bank or whatever. And,
you can
get stuff cheap there.
You can run a sweet homestead compound down there.
And as long as you're there 6 months in 6 months in 1 day out of the year, you can claim that you're a resident there, and then you don't have to give the IRS any money.
Wow.
Like now, a lot of my education is how can I give the IRS less money?
Right.
But I'm self-employed, so everything I do is pretty much a tax write-off. Every time I go somewhere, talk business, answer the phone, whatever, those are all tax write-offs.
We're talking shop right now.
Exactly. So, and that's more people need to realize that.
Well, I'd prefer not to give my money to another business, because let's not get it twisted. The government's a business who can't run business.
Not very well.
In what alternate universe would you hire someone to build you a building? They would get halfway through the budget and then say, "No, we got to start all over. I need you to replenish the entire budget. I calculated wrong.
Yeah,
we're under budget. We're over budget. Whatever wherever we're at, I just need more from you."
Yeah.
Would you say, "Oh, sure, man, I can totally trust you with these resources, brother. Yeah, here you go, another check, man. Have at it."
When you have an unlimited checkbook, you can do that, but if you want to know if you want to know what's really going on, you just got to follow the money. Mm-hmm. I mean, anytime you got a question about anything, who made the most money? Who is the most profitable? That's going to tell you everything you need to know.
Well, you can follow the money too when you try to track back someone's opinion about something. 9 times out of 10, there is a dollar bill back at the root of that crazy opinion. Or what I believe to be a crazy opinion.
I think 9 out of 10's little. You're giving it too much. I think it's more like 999,000 out of a million.
Yeah.
It's that. It's more about that.
I'm trying not to be too hyperbolic, but yes, I mean, no doubt about it. You get your paycheck from the government, you're going to believe what the government has to say, man. I mean, 100%. I mean, they validate your existence.
I just hope that when this, in a couple of months, I hope we're better off for it than less for it. I hope that but unfortunately, it's going to come to a head again. And I'm going to do my part. I promise you today, and everybody that's watching, I'm going to do my part to be a light. No matter how much darkness is out there, I'm going to do the best I can to take you away from whatever bad situation you're going in, and at least help you flip the switch in your mind. Or, I'm going to take these glasses off, and I'm going to put my sunshine glasses on, or the everything's going to be okay glasses. And,
Yeah.
I have a lot of faith in America, so I believe that America will always turn out and go through and be better after. It's just that, like I know there's a Trump march Saturday.
Yeah.
There is no way I would step foot anywhere near that march. But I believe that's where chaos is going to ensue.
Yeah, there's going to be something crazy.
There's going to be something happening. But we got, what's tomorrow? Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Our second one this year, which
What?
doesn't happen very often.
No doubt.
I wonder what's going to happen tomorrow that lines up and with another Friday the 13th. Now, I love a good conspiracy. I think conspiracies are better than television shows today.
Yeah.
Like, I love watching people that are passionate and enthusiastic about what they believe in. Do I believe that they're telling the truth? Yeah, they got some truth in there, but is it the ultimate truth? I don't know.
Most
how
likely
could I
not
know?
the ultimate. Yeah.
But there are definitely patterns in this world, and there are
No doubt.
There's there's a ruling elite or it's not us.
Yeah.
And we'll never meet them. We'll never see them.
No.
And we've worked for, I think about the people I've worked for that have the most money. And I've got some billionaires in my collector base that I've done work for, and several millionaires and people like that. But they're not those. They're not the elite.
No.
They don't even have access to those guys.
No,
But,
these are the top one of the top 1%.
well, and I just think that everybody right now needs to be preparing for more downturns. Like, I feel the market's going to crash again.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to happen when the election results are verified, But right now, for the market to be up multiple days in a row during all of this chaos, and there's no business to go around. There's, I know they said, 33% up. Well, that was 33% up after everything was shut down.
Yeah. They're saying the market's up because of the vaccines, because the market's positive that now everyone can go back to work.
Well, then why did Pfizer's CEO just sell $6 million worth of his stock?
I don't know.
Why did Jeff Bezos just sell $3 billion worth of Amazon stock?
I don't know.
Why did Elon Musk sell, billions of dollars worth of his stock?
Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder why. What's the guy's name? Warren Buffett. He got rid of all of his airline stocks before they crashed. He's now loading up on Bank of America stock. Okay. But he just sold last quarter. He just sold $5 or $6 billion worth of Apple stock. But yet these guys, we're telling me that the market's good and those billionaires are selling off.
Yeah. Nah, bro.
If you're putting new money in the stock market right now, I'm sorry. I feel sorry for you, but I feel like another one's coming, and it's gonna make March look like a nothing burger.
Yeah.
Now I'm a skeptic and I'm a questioner, and but I also see patterns, and I see that usually there's a lot of hype. Like, I look at the sports card market right now. There's a ton of hype. Steve Aoki's breaking cards. The Wahlberg family's breaking cards. The Rob Kardashian's breaking cards. So you're seeing all these celebrities coming into that industry right now. So is there going to be more hype coming? Probably.
Yeah.
You'd get a few other people like a Jay-Z or somebody like that to start collecting cards. All the sheep will get right in line.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll give all their money and all their safety and security for a piece of cardboard. And to me, that's scary.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm selling out. By this time next year, I hope to not have one card. But I'd rather sell out at the top, than wait for another top.
Yeah.
But the markets, you don't have a 10X in a year and expect it to go higher.
Right.
Think about bull runs, what bull runs have happened. And, we thought we had a bull run in gold, which I believe we're at the beginning of a bull run in physical gold, silver bullion, I'm loaded on silver and gold, but I was buying silver when it was $13-14, and I was buying gold when it was $1,000, So, and that's where I hold more, but I'm holding the physical. I don't want your GLD or SLV derivative stock. Like, no, thank you. Those aren't backed by anything, So, but when you see the world going there, but every bull market, when it goes from that bull market, it 10Xs. It doesn't go up 10, 20%. It goes up 10X. We haven't seen that yet in gold, but I think, we're about to be on a one world currency that's going to be gold backed. I think every bank is going to have on-demand liquidity, because right now there's no liquidity in the market, and that's what's slowing everything down because, they're waiting on SWIFT to get the payment from Australia to America, and it takes a week when there's technologies in crypto that can do it in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
So I see the shift going that way. I watched the head of the IMF and the BIS and all these big governing bodies that are calling for a great financial reset this year, and wiping off the world debt.
Wow.
But are they going to wipe out our debt?
Yeah.
Doubt it.
I don't see that happening.
I doubt it. They'll wipe out each other's debt.
Yeah.
But there's a huge monumental shift right now in how payments are made. And I mean, you can even think of PayPal. Do you ever deal with PayPal?
Yeah.
Do you remember the hot air balloon ride to get your money or your rocket ship?
Sure.
The hot air balloon takes 1 to 3 days, right?
Right.
And the rocket ship, how long?
Yeah, right now.
10 seconds, 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference between crypto and SWIFT.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a SWIFT payment, it's going to go through the hot air balloon ride to get to you. And now they've made it to where they made you have to get, like PayPal was where we get most of our payments for the card shop. I had to get a new bank account with one of their approved bankers.
Yeah.
My bank, I bank with Frost. They're a small bank, so they're not a part of that program.
Right.
So I have to use a hot air balloon ride, but they're making it to where they just shifted to where I had to get a new bank account. So now I got a new bank account with Capital One to get my bank payments, But all this stuff is shifting this year, but no one's paying attention to the rocket ships, And but to me, that's where I'm positioned. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready for the rocket ride.
Yeah.
Let's go to the moon, baby.
Absolutely.
So, but we got to diversify. And if you're sitting with a bunch of stocks and stuff right now, I think it's just it's not the future of the money. I think it's already had its day. I mean, how long has the stock market been around?
A long time.
100 years now.
Yeah.
And you think it's going to keep going, especially when it's paper derivatives? I mean, you look at the 2008 crash, and you look at Deutsche Bank and how much of the silver shorts they took in.
Why does everyone put their trust in that anyway when it's the government bailing everybody out? When anything goes wrong, you or I make poor business decisions. No one's bailing us out.
We're done. Yeah, we're done. And because people believe what they're told.
Yeah.
They believe what the mainstream media tells them because we've been trained to go to them for our truth, to get in the morning, get your coffee.
If it's not on TV, then
they don't accept it. It's conspiracy
acceptable.
theory.
That's right.
It's like my wife's like, I know you say all this stuff's coming, and I know you say that, the ballots are watermarked and all this kind of stuff, but I want to see it on the news.
Yeah.
And I said, I can't guarantee that the news is ever going to buy into it.
No doubt.
But I think that come January 20th, the news is going to tell us that Biden's our president, and the alternate media is going to tell us that Trump's president. And then what's going to happen on the 21st whenever we still don't know?
Yeah.
But
Pelosi's president, if that happens.
And then, you look at all the options of what can happen, where if the House appoints the president and then the Senate appoints the
Vice
could
president.
you imagine Trump being like Biden gets the presidency, Trump is his VP.
Yeah.
Amendment 25 or whatever comes in, knocks him out. Then Trump is the new VP, and then they put in it's just a wreck.
It's an absolute wreck.
It's an absolute wreck. So, but I don't think it's going to get there. I think that Trump's too smart for it. And again, I gave this guy zero credit other than I liked watching his show and him saying you're fired.
Right.
And I was impressed with his kids and his daughter more than his others, as far as just watching a TV show, production. So, but, I look at what he's done in foreign policy. I look at what he's done and, he built the wall.
Yeah.
And you can't say he didn't. He got it done. And, but betting against the man is just not a smart. I think he's way smarter than most people give him credit for. But he plays the fool very well.
I think that's the thing. I think a lot of people get this impression about him that, he wants them to have.
Yeah, of course.
Who knows?
Only time will tell,
Yeah.
But if you don't agree with me, I'm okay with that, and chances are I don't agree with you, but that doesn't mean we got to fight about it.
Right.
Yeah. And that don't mean that we got to disrespect each other. But right now, the people that are against my beliefs cuss at me, call me names, all that kind of stuff. But I just choose not to communicate that way. That's the lowest form of communication that I know of, So, but I do very good even with my daughters. I might have raised my voice at them once or twice in their life, maybe put my hands on them. That wasn't a hug once, maybe, but I choose not to raise my voice at my wife, at my kids. But I don't like it when people yell at me.
Yeah.
I don't communicate that. I mean, I remember when every coach yelled and spit in my face, and I just curled up or I wanted to punch them.
Yeah.
And knock them out. And there were several times where I was just, and I should have unloaded on the coach, but what would have happened then? I would have been sent to a detention center, who knows, but that was back when they were paddling us.
Yeah.
You remember getting swats and paddles
and grabbing you by the face mask and
yeah,
the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, all of it,
Absolutely.
And was it effective? Yeah. But, it wasn't a good communication. And most of those coaches I could care less about.
Yeah.
Like if they were on fire, I don't know that I would pee on them to put it out.
Yeah.
But that's still, that's how long that black magic
Little
stayed
trauma
with me.
there, yeah.
Which now I say that more as comedic relief.
Right.
And of course I would pee on them to put the fire out.
Of course.
I would sit there and drink a gallon of water just to hold up and make sure I have enough to put it out,
Go.
But
that's the right attitude. That's the problem solving Tanner Lawley
right?
I've come to know and love.
Right, exactly. No, but and honestly, I've gotten rid of a lot of that anger, and I don't have the anger anymore. But I know they were doing the best that they could when they were there in that time, But I mean, I imagine if I was a father at 23 years old, my kids would be jacked. That'd be terrible. I'm lucky I had kids later in life.
Yeah.
Because my maturity's changed.
Sure.
Immensely. So, but. I think we're just at a point now to where we're all at a paradigm shift where we're reevaluating our value system. And that's honestly, I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for the Black Lives Matter movement because I know it's made a change. I know even though it went to the Democratic Party and all the fundraising went, I don't know that made a difference, but it brought it to the forefront to where people talked about it.
Yeah.
And now I don't believe that it was communicated the best that it could have been, and I believe that it was politically charged and motivated as it was several years ago when it was brought to the forefront in an election year, and but it made a change in me because I started acting different, and I went the extra mile to make sure that I wasn't part of the problem, and I think if everybody goes the extra mile to make sure that that person believes that they're not worthy, it's your job to make them feel that they're worthy. Go find someone that feels alone and show them that they're not. Prove to them that they're not. So if we can take that same mentality with race, and I'm about to be a leader and an organizer of this Dallas dinner table. And it's where they try to, there'll be 8 to 10 people having dinner together and all from different races. But I can't give my opinion. I'm just there to facilitate and ask questions, which for me, not giving my opinion will be one of the hardest things I will do. But I accept the challenge because I know it'll make me a better person, a better salesman, and I guarantee you I will hear a side of the story from each race that's there that I didn't think of, that I didn't consider what they're going through or how they feel or, so I'm open to making a change by doing that because I realize I need to change. But I believe most people don't realize they need to change. They think they're fine already. And everybody needs to change.
Yeah.
In some way, shape. Everybody can get better.
Absolutely.
There's nobody that has got it so figured out that they're just living on cloud 9 all the time.
No doubt.
And usually if you act like you got no problems, you got more problems than anybody.
This is true.
Absolutely. I mean, I was in a car accident with a guy the other day that never lied a day in his life. And he was 56 years old. And I was like, I can't even have a conversation with you because you said you've never told a lie a day in your life because your mom was Greek or, gave me all this story why he's never lied. And I'm like, I know a lot of Greek people and lie on a daily basis, you know? So, but again, I didn't fight it. I took it I was like, that's fine. And I told the insurance people, I was like, you know what? I was at fault because I dealt with a guy that's never lied a day in his life. And I was so impressed with meeting that form of Jesus in my life that, I got to bow down to him. But again, it was his opinion versus mine. But when I looked back and went back to the scene and where it happened, the lane changed on me and there were no stripes showing that it was changing. And it came into, this lane came into mine in dark and no lights, like the perfect thing for that to happen, but also realized that, I'd probably been in that lane 1,000 times and went into that other lane without, knowing it and never hit anybody, or never had anybody, luckily it wasn't much damage and it was just a little fender rub, it'd been racing if we were, rubbing his racing is one of those, but the guy came out and belligerent and all that. And I kept my cool and, and I went to the insurance, like, yeah, I was at fault. The lane changed on me. Now the street, the city should have stripes there. They should have a sign up, they should probably have the lights fixed, but I didn't go through, I accepted my fault and I moved on, and most people wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw an accident yesterday of 2 people, 2 different races, one young kid, that pants down to his knees and he was cussing at the guy, you hit me, and I'm like, and I filmed it. Like I saw it happening. I filmed it all. I rolled up to him, gave him my card. I said, guys, I saw the whole thing. He goes, oh yeah, you saw him hit me? And I was like, tell him, call me, because I'm not going to try to convince the guy that he was an idiot.
Right.
But from my video, he was an idiot,
Yeah.
and wasn't paying attention,
Right.
So, but most people are, look at you, at you, the Bible says a plank in your eye.
Yeah.
I always do this, like
Absolutely.
when someone says, God, you're fat. And I'm like, what was that? So,
Yeah, they want to pick the speck out of your eye, and they got a tree trunk in their own.
And hopefully we can work on our own specs and not worry about someone else's tree trunk.
It would it would behoove all of us to keep our eyes on our own sheet of music, would it not?
It would. And I'm just thankful that I'm not the judge.
Yeah.
But I do know that whatever level of judgment I give to you, the same level of judgment's going to be given to me.
Yeah.
If you believe the Bible, how Matthew 7 talks about that. So,
absolutely.
But you can judge a tree by their fruits, and of course we see in James that even the demons believe in Jesus and tremble, so when you believe it ain't enough,
Right.
you got to put action behind it, but we can never do enough action to make up for all of our faults. Like we can't work ourselves to get up there, so, but we can form good habits that are godly, in our ways. And when we're in business, it's our job to make the person happy. Right. So it's our job to go the extra mile, and if you can adopt one thing in everybody's business, do something extra for every person, every customer that you don't expect to get paid for. Do something extra. Me, I do free shipping and delivery worldwide. I don't expect to get paid for it. That comes out of my numbers, Now, I do that because that's the law of returns. That's whenever you serve someone without monetary exchange, it gives you future, cred with that buyer and that customer
Sure.
for a long time.
You bet.
And if you're going in, you know what? I got some spackling right here. Do you mind if I go ahead and touch up that wall and just take me 30 minutes. I'll go and see something you're not being paid for.
Yeah.
They're going to love it. And they're say, you know what? I'm going to deal with Jess every single time.
Absolutely.
Because I know he's going to provide a value that I'm not paying for. And if you want to make a difference in the business world, which you can learn those from another monumental book what's his name? Give me a second. It's like the manual for making money in the world. And he's an old guy that interviewed like Franklin and, all these Rockefellers. And it slipped my mind for the second, but Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, yeah.
You ever heard of it? Mm-hmm. He talks about the law of returns and doing something extra. And whenever I heard that, I was like, that's right, I'm going to do that. So I started doing that. And I believe that's one of the reasons that have been as successful as I've been in entrepreneurship, because, and even my dad said, Dad, Tanner, work harder, longer, and faster than everybody else. Put the work in.
Yeah.
Do extra. Go the extra mile for people. That's a Christian philosophy. If you can attach that to your business. Of course, I've had those Christian businesses that screwed me out of money.
Yeah.
That have it in their name and this kind of stuff, and then they're the biggest thieves out there.
Yeah. They got the little fish logo or whatever. Yeah.
And cheating you, stealing your money, and like lying to you over and over. And and when I started dealing with that, I was like, I'm out of the construction business.
Yeah.
Like I just walked
It's
away.
tough, man.
It's the hardest thing is finding good help and finding good contractors. And when I realized that most of the people I was dealing with were getting over on me, are not doing their, best, I was like, I can't operate in this business.
Well, you and I did a job together once. One of the few where we've teamed up on a job to help a lady get moved into a house over in North Dallas on the North Dallas Carrollton line.
Yep.
And got her TV set up, ran a bunch of cable. Remember all that?
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
And yeah, big Christian lady, and this
Just
and that.
helping her
and
out.
This is my testimony, and then okay, here's your invoice. Oh nope, not gonna pay that.
Yeah.
Remember? I mean, it's just it ticks you off. But my dad's always taught me to take a lesson from everything.
Yeah.
So if I see something that I don't like, that's something that I'm not going to repeat in my own life.
Right.
Maybe that's the best way to take value out of a bad situation. Find a little bit of a silver lining is, take a lesson and learn and try to improve yourself. Even if you're getting ripped off, there's a lesson to be learned there.
Yeah. No.
What are some other helpful hints and hacks you would have for young entrepreneurs? Especially entrepreneurs who've got that artistic inkling like you.
I think you have to work with your passion and then just never give up. Like if you give up, you know what's going to happen. You're going to fail.
Yeah.
But if you just keep going and I set goals for myself that were not easy to reach. And the only way I could get to those goals was to put 30 years in. That was the only way I could get to where I want to be, is to do what others had already done before me, but make a goal so big that the chances of me getting it are by myself are slim to none. But the chances of me getting it with unwavering faith are pretty high, So if you're working with your passion, work with your passion. If you don't love it, don't waste your time.
Yeah.
And
people can tell.
Well, yeah, of course. And you may love serving others, so for me, I always saw myself as a servant. And so I was always able to take that servant mindset in my business, so if I enjoy serving others, I could be in the service industry and get my enjoyment through serving and get paid to do what I love to do. So when I was in construction, I loved serving others, and I loved getting the job done and being done with a complete job and then making the person happy to where they give me their money. I love that exchange. So if you can make that level of your passion, if you can just set those little things, then you're fine.
Yeah.
But you just can't give up. Like people that, it's going to be too hard to do that. You're right. But
Stop now.
And most people do. Most people never take the first step because they believe the first step's too hard. But you just got to take the first step, and the first step to me is easy.
Yeah.
It's the second and third but again, once you start moving in a direction, as long as you don't stop or step backwards or go, as long as you're still moving forward, you can move. You can climb like this. You don't want to climb like this,
Yeah.
So to me, it's just simple, but I try to simplify everything I do. I want to be impeccable with my word.
Four Agreements.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of the most monumental books of my life, and it's
Absolutely.
an afternoon read, but
It's a great book.
And if you can get those kind of, always do your best, always tell the truth. I don't even want to talk about Santa Claus because I don't want to lie to my kids.
Sure.
And me and my wife had come on, it's just like, why you want to take away their, I was like, why do I want to set them up for not trusting me?
Right.
So, but that's just how I look at it. But I was the kid that was always, when everybody's like, teachers line up on the left side of the room, Tanner's on the right side of the room, like, why would I do that? So I'm naturally that way.
I got you. When you first started creating art and you first started putting your creations out there, did you have any fear and trepidation of, people aren't going to like this? Or was it one of those things where once you started creating, you just kind of didn't care what people thought because it was just pouring out of you?
In the beginning, I cared what people thought. And for several years, I cared what people thought. But once I realized that the paintings that I thought were the worst sold first, that's when it didn't matter what I thought. I'm just looking for someone to love it. I'm looking for the person that I painted that painting for, So, and every painting you do, like as an artist, is going to sell eventually, probably. As long as you're good at sell, as long as you have some business acumen. Most artists unfortunately screw up more sales than they make, by showing them another painting whenever they ever said, man, I love that painting. And instead of asking them what they love about it, they say, well, let me show you this painting that I love over here. And then they lose it. So like in sales, your job in sales, like if you're going to close a deal, your job is to find out where they put their value. And if what's most valuable to them about that house is that master bath, well, you sell them the master bath.
Mm-hmm.
So most people don't focus on what they love, so, and it's the same thing in doing what you want to do or working with someone in business or whatever. Find out what they put their value in, close them on their value. And that's the secret to success.
Absolutely.
It's just, and once you understand, like with my work, it's love, and it's either family, love, or color. That's what I get most on. People love the texture, people love the whatever, but I'm going for good godly beliefs. But it was also, I simplified it to where, every art critic that I'd studied at that time, when they were asked what is good art, because art's subjective, and they all say, well, no, good art's not subjective. It's either good or it's not. And then, well, what's good art? And they would say, well, good art draws some emotion out of you. And so they left it vague as any emotion. As long as it draws some emotion out of you, then it's good art. Well, in my simple mind, I said, well, I'm going to paint love. I can't think of a better emotion to spread or get people to think about, so I'm just going to paint love. And, when I got that first gallery in Santa Fe early in my career, they saw my paintings and they said, can you paint us 50 hearts? I'm like, I did those in like 15 minutes. Yeah. And I painted them 50 hearts, and they sold all of them. And I painted them some more, and I didn't know I was going to be a heart painter, but it worked out. But also, I went through a bad breakup, and I was working on myself, and I remember writing a top 10 list of what I was looking for in a future wife, and I met her 90 days to the day of me dating it and signing it, put it in my wallet. I had my first date with her on Match.com.
Wow.
And I knew immediately. She knew on the second date I was the one. I knew on the first date.
Yeah.
And now we've had a fruitful relationship. And has it been a rocky road? Of course. Every relationship is.
Yeah.
But it's not rocky anymore.
Yeah.
But I do my part.
Sure.
I do my part to make it a fruitful relationship and not a costly or a negative relationship.
Right.
So, and everybody has their part to do that. With women, if you can listen, you don't yell at them, you do the dishes, you clean up, you pick up after yourself and
acts of service.
And that's what usually makes them happy. Security, they want to feel safe around you. They don't need a beta male. They want an alpha male, and unless they're an alpha female, then they want a beta male.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not a beta male.
No,
not even close.
No.
Parts of me have
I'm not
been.
either, bro.
Parts of me have been, you know. But and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that we're in a world where manlyhood has been demasculated, and we live in a woman's world, which I get it, and I love women, so that's easy, But you have too much feminine energy, and there's not a balance. There needs to be a balance of feminine and masculine energy, in my opinion.
Well, I think a lot of what's been lost about masculinity is that ownership you talked about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
A book you should, if you haven't read it or listened to it, Jocko Willink, Extreme Ownership.
Is he the military guy,
yeah,
Jocko?
The Navy SEAL guy who's always on with Joe Rogan.
Beast. Yeah.
Just that extreme ownership.
Yeah.
You own the wins, but own the losses, own the failures. Like when you let that word slip and you owned it there, right there. You told on yourself, you owned it. You said, man, I was wrong right there.
Yeah.
I apologize. That's my bad. That ownership is very, very masculine.
Yeah.
That is the best leaders are the leaders who go, you know what, guys, we're falling short here, and it starts with me, and it's going to end with me, and I'm starting right now, and we're doing better. And not many people own it anymore.
Self-awareness. Right?
Absolutely.
Accountability. You got to keep yourself accountable. Most people don't want accountability.
No.
They want to pawn it off on somebody else, or they want. I heard the other day, what was it? Was it Buffett that said yesterday that he thinks that they should wipe out all the college debt?
Did he?
And that's what I heard.
What are you talking about?
Like everyone's college debt, he should wipe it. Like we should wipe it out.
Well, I paid for college myself.
I did too,
and I don't really think that you should get it for free. Yeah, if you paid for it with a scholarship, you paid for it with yourself, with your skills and talents and hard work, and up at 5 and 2-a-days and the whole 9 yards. Well, if you signed up to pay a debt, pay the fucking debt. Man.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
You know what?
You going to pay all the mortgages in this country too?
Yeah.
Just, y'all live for free health care. Oh, you're a doctor. You don't need to be paid for what you do.
Yeah.
You just owe this to society.
That would
and
be
you're going to
China.
live on, Skittles and clouds.
Yeah.
You know, what are you talking about? None of it makes any sense.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
You've talked about habits a few times through this convo. What are the habits that you recommend to young entrepreneurs and that you consistently work on yourself?
Oh man, I think work ethic is your number one. You know, persevere. I mean, you
You're
gotta.
not born with it.
Yeah, you gotta just go the extra mile. I think one of the biggest habits is when everybody's done, do it a little bit more. You know, when you think you've done it, it's just like working out. You know, you were a bodybuilder and you worked out, and most men have, and we've got in there in the weights, and it's not the gain on the first 10. It's the last 2 that gets all the gain. It's that when you're beat and done and you can't get it up by yourself anymore and you got to get a spot. And they say, nah, you got 3 more in you.
Yep.
And you might, but that's where you get the gains. And so it's that, to me, it's just doing that little bit of extra. You know, that's, you know, like if everybody
Endeavor
stops
to
here,
persevere.
stop here.
Yeah.
You know, be the last one to leave. And once you start stacking all those extra hours in and those extra minutes, and over 10 years, that's a big difference. You know, me working full time for 10 years, 2 jobs full time, gave me that extra. You know, in the last 4 years, when I've been putting 60 to 70 hours consistently in a week on my own self and my own career, that's what made the difference. It wasn't the this or that. And, you know, I say also you got to pray, you know, and you got to not have limiting belief systems. If you have a belief system that limits you, you got to change it. You got to flip the switch, you know. Think about what you're thankful for, not what you're not thankful for. And if you have an attitude of gratitude, that's going to make all the difference in the world. And it's really just believing that can happen, you know, believing that there is a silver lining. You know, most people don't, you know, you know, it's just I don't know how to explain any other way than that. And, you know, but they do just enough to get by.
Right.
And I do just enough to move forward, you know, like to really get the extra gains in. And I got to shift a lot. I want to work on my diet. You know, now I'm walking my daughter most days, and I try to do an hour worth of walking with my 1-year-old daughter. You know, but that's and now I've got a new challenge for myself. I want to do a half a marathon.
Yeah.
You know,
nice.
And I hate running. I'm not going to run it.
So we got to hold you accountable to that.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But I want to get to where I've practiced enough to where I can walk a half marathon. And I've had several knee surgeries, and I need knee surgeries now. And
you might need one of those knees replaced.
Well, I need both of them replaced.
Yeah.
I mean, I've already been told that, but I'm also learning how to channel my pain and not have to take a pill for it.
Sure.
You know, I want to be able to act like a monk, you know, that gets pain and is like, yeah, pain's, I'm going to put that over here and not focus on it. And I'm going to focus on this. And then the pain.
Meditation helps a lot with that.
I've tried, and there's something about the meditation that I just can't.
You got to do it guided.
I can't get, I've heard that.
That's
I can't
the
get
way.
Is it?
That's the way to get started, is to start out very short with accomplishable goals so you don't get frustrated, and to do guided. Do a guided, and set a goal. I'm going to do this 3 times a week.
Yeah. Set
up a place in your house that's quiet. And then I like to sit on the floor and sit against the wall.
Yeah.
Because you're not supposed to fall asleep. You're not really meditating if you fall asleep. So it's hard in the mornings if you're still sleepy. But if you're sitting up, comfortable, not cold, not too hot, and then go with a guided. Man, there's a bunch of guided meditation apps that are free.
Oh yeah, I've seen. I've done, and I've done
I think
those.
LeBron endorses one of them.
Oh, I hate LeBron.
Your boy, yeah,
that's your boy.
No, I'm not a LeBron fan.
Come on, man.
No, I'm a Jimmy Butler
dude.
guy.
You have a LeBron. I have 23 on the back of your truck.
I do,
right now.
And I have a LeBron tattoo
on your cheeks. No.
I do not like LeBron. Sekou knows this. We talk LeBron all the time when we're riding around.
Does he like LeBron? You like him?
Yeah, man.
You like him? He's one of the best. He ain't the best, but he's one of the best. He's a top fiver.
Yeah,
you
he's
know?
probably top 5.
But he was bred for that position. Like he's born and raised
a
for that
man
position.
child.
He is.
It's
you know?
unbelievable.
And Zion's the next
Yeah.
version of that's coming. You know, we see it, but yeah, I don't know. I just I'm not that impressed. But I got a little haterade in me. I mean, I'm not gonna say that I'm I'm not drinking some haterade on him. You know, like I know he could take me to the hole.
Well,
like, but that's not any accomplishment.
No,
you know,
I don't think.
But I believe I can read better than him. You know, like I believe I can probably balance my checkbook better than him. But
that's saying
he doesn't have to. He can pay people to do all that stuff.
He pays people to do all that. He's best friends with Warren Buffett.
I believe
they're
he
like
is.
good friends.
Well, most of those elites are all good friends. You know, they play by the numbers. You know,
true story.
So,
what do you fear? What's something you fear? We've talked a lot about how we don't operate from a fear base, but I mean, I fear failure. What do you fear?
I fear losing my relationship with my kids.
Yeah,
it's the only thing I fear. I mean, honestly, I fear losing a relationship with God. You know, getting so far in my own self that I can't.
Well, that's only a one-way street right there, though.
Yeah,
because he never leaves you.
Yeah, I know, but those are the things that I fear.
Yeah.
You know, that the world would consume me so much that I believe it and I operate from those value systems. You know, but I think I'm far past that happening. But you know, honestly, the love I get from my wife and my kids and losing that would be the only fear I would have. But I'm not afraid of them dying. I'm not afraid to die. Like I don't have any fear about death. I don't have, even if like fear of my kids dying, I would never want that to happen. But I know I would, if I experienced that, I would grow from it. I would hurt and mourn as we all would, but I'm going to remember the good times over the bad times.
Yeah.
But that's really it. Like, I'm not afraid of getting shot. I'm not afraid of getting beat.
Been there, done that.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not afraid of someone coming at me. Like, I don't have that kind of fear. But, these days, like, I'm kind of a minimal prepper, so I fear things getting nasty, but I feel like I'm prepared for the nasty, so I don't really carry the fear. I'm cautious. Sure. I'm cautious, so I like, honestly, I don't know. I'm afraid of a COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
I'm not taking it.
Well, it's going to wax 10% of the population that takes it.
I'm just not like I wouldn't take that, and I would go into that with fear, of like just the worst case happening.
Well, you might not be able to go to a Mavs game or another concert, man.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah. Whatever will we do?
Well, and when
I do want to see Luka play live.
You've never seen him play live?
I haven't seen him play live yet.
Yeah.
No, we're supposed to go to the Bucks game this year.
Yeah.
Mavs Bucks.
They canceled.
COVID.
I was there the last game.
Yeah.
I was there the last game.
Oh, when it was.
Yep.
When it
was
called.
their very last game, I was there.
When Cuban was looking at his phone.
Yep. So I was there. I got to see Luka's rookie year. I was actually, half court, 2 rows back, sitting with Jalen Brunson's mom. And
dang.
I got to experience it at that level,
awesome.
Which is pretty cool. I think he went off for 30-something that game and triple-double, I want to say, his rookie year. So it was pretty cool experience. And I got to take some buddies of mine for free.
That's cool.
So I didn't have to pay for any of the tickets or any of that. So that was a good feeling, to be able to do. But yeah, my valuation of sports and players and athletes and celebrities is just not there anymore.
Yeah,
I don't.
It loses its importance when things that are really important start to shine through, doesn't it?
Oh, without a doubt. And I love all of them. Like, I want them all to succeed. I want them all to be good, and I want every bit. I don't want bad things for LeBron, anybody. I don't want bad things for anybody. I just don't. Like, I don't think LeBron and I would be friends. Like, I don't think that
You don't think you'd vibe?
I don't think we would.
Yeah.
I think we're just on different planets,
right.
And now I believe we could find commonalities. I believe that I could relate with him, and could he relate with me? I don't think so. I don't know that he would ever relate with me.
Yeah.
But I don't know the man.
Yeah.
I don't believe Trump would ever relate with me either.
Right.
So like and be hard for me to relate with him other than just being a father.
But he'll never quit on you.
Yeah.
Isn't that his line? I'll never quit on you.
I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't quit. I've seen a fight in that man, and like with all just everything that's been thrown at him nonstop. and to still be trucking along and then want to do it again.
A lot of hate coming that way.
Oh, nothing but hate.
Yeah.
You know, now I say that, but there's 70-something million people that love the man.
True.
And then they treat him like a god, you know, and you know, I could see how, but I just don't put that much faith in one person.
Yeah.
You know, like, but
can't.
again, like I don't.
A man is a man.
Yeah, and I don't hold anyone's value in anyone's opinion over anybody else's.
I mean, they still put their shoes on one at a time unless they're wearing Crocs.
Or they got somebody that's putting them on for them.
Yeah.
You know, but no, I think
you don't think Trump ties his own shoes, bro? I don't think Trump ties his own shoes, man.
I bet he does.
You think he does?
I think he does.
I don't know. Maybe he does.
I don't know. That's a good question. You
Yeah.
should write him a letter.
What
and
about
ask him.
Biden? Does Biden tie his own? I don't think Biden can tie his own shoes.
I think
Did
he
you
wears
see him
penny
run
loafers.
run
I did.
down the-
I noticed
That was
they
interesting.
They were showing his fitness.
He's got
level.
this thing about calling people out for being fat too.
Oh, does he?
Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
hadn't heard
It's
that.
just very judgy of the left. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Shouldn't we all be accepting of one another?
His track record has been
Well.
not that great. You
Well.
know, like it's just
Super predators and the whole 9 yards. The
Yeah.
track record has been underpublicized.
he's pretty racist.
It's pretty
you know?
horrible. Yeah,
But you know, that's I mean, to think
that's fake news. So yeah,
I don't know if there's real news anymore.
yeah, I don't think
you know,
there
like,
is, man.
If it says real news, it's probably fake news. And
I
if
think
it's-
I think everyone needs to be challenged to figure out what the truth is for themselves.
I just want
Because
people to
we've
look
been
for the truth.
spoon-fed for so long that it's just if you're not even trying,
Yeah.
then you know.
But it's hard whenever you go to your level of truth that you believe to be true, and then if they're lying to you, then you're believing a lie. But
Yeah.
everybody believes that they're believing the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like this, well, I feel like that there's a head coming, you know, like there's a chaos coming to a head here shortly.
It's like a
in our near
volcano
future. It's
bubbling
about to
up.
erupt.
Yep.
But everybody is so passionate about their guy. Like some of my best friends, Trump can do no right. There's nothing about
there's
his
no middle
life that
ground.
they like,
No.
and then there's the exact opposite side. I got family that thinks Trump can do no wrong,
Right.
you know, and
He's a deity. Yeah.
and that he's called and that he's, you know, the chosen one to
Right.
do all this, and this is biblical, and you know, and it's just like,
That's that whole weird QAnon. Yeah.
you know, which
stuff.
I was following QAnon 3 years ago, you
Yeah.
know, and I was getting all these drops and stuff, and I wasn't super passionate about it. But again, I was like, was this true? You know, and I'm listening to see if it is true. Well, when I was seeing 2-year deltas, they were making posts, and then 2 years from that post later, the exact same thing they were
Yeah.
talking about here was coming out on the mainstream news.
Well, there's a bunch
gotta
of stuff
give some
from
validity
yesterday.
there.
11/11 yesterday. A bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and
It's
you know,
it's weird.
But
I don't know.
And Ticketmaster came out on 11/11
Yeah.
and said that that's when you're going to have to be vaccinated if you want to go to
That's
a concert.
right.
You know, and of course, the Revelation talks about having to, you know, in order to do monetary exchange and be a part of the monetary system, you have to accept the sign of the beast.
Yeah, the mark.
You know, and
Yeah.
which I grew up in a faith-based system that believed that book couldn't be taken verbatim.
Literally,
Yeah, and it
yeah.
was written in an apocryphal language or something like that. But again, that was just one man's opinion, you know, and my belief system's opinion. And then there's other opinions that believe that there's a 1,000-year reign. There's a premillennial, like you just go on, and division, but it's just division,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and if it's true, will those be signs of end times? And, you know, like a lot of signs right now, but I mean, there were days where Caligula was burying people, you know, from the neck down and just having their heads up and chopping all their heads off, and they were just eating it and drinking it up. And I
Yeah.
mean, but that was the kind of evilness that was in the world,
Yep.
the world that we live in. You know, like there was that level of evil, which I can't even imagine or fathom that level of evil. But, you know, I believe there's more truth in QAnon than most people think, because all they're doing is asking you to ask the question and question the narrative.
Right.
You know, they're saying is look into this. Do your
Don't
own
swallow
research.
it hook, line, and sinker, man.
Do your own research.
Ask
you
some
know?
questions.
Ask some questions. So,
Yeah.
you know, to me, that's never a bad way to
Never.
go. Never. To educate yourself.
Yeah.
And, you know, and trust. But
freedom of thought, freedom of belief, freedom of speech.
Yeah.
These
And-
are the freedoms, the core values this country was founded on.
Seeing my prediction coming in the next few months before Trump leaves office is he's going to release those JFK documents.
Yeah.
That should have been released 3 years ago.
Declassify everything.
He's going to declassify everything. And when that happens, I think there's going to be a massive red pill that people are going to have to accept. But most people that hate him will never believe no matter what information he puts out there. But I'm one of those weirdos and conspiracy theorists that believes that
your government is lying to you.
I mean, I go back to JFK, and I don't believe Oswald killed JFK by himself. Like, I don't believe it. You know,
right here in the Big D.
Right here in the Big D. But that was very monumental in my life as a kid. And I remember the Kevin Costner movie that came out and made me question everything.
Oliver Stone, baby.
You know, so when you look at that kind of stuff, and so for me, until I get to see those documents that should have been released 3 years ago, but Trump couldn't release them, why not? He was big friends with the Kennedy family. His family, they were friends.
Yeah.
And he was friends with his son, and that was one of his best friends. So, you know, I look at that kind of stuff. But again, I don't believe jet fuel and aluminum melts steel.
No.
Like,
or steel reinforced concrete.
Yeah, and I don't.
And a building across the street,
around the corner,
to the ground,
man,
immediately.
And just imagine, like,
with no plane.
And what's the chances that three buildings were all owned by the same guy?
I'll be damned. And Tom Leppert ran the construction company. Tom Leppert, former mayor of the Big D.
Crazy.
It's all very interesting.
Coincidence, just coincidence.
Yeah, it's just, hey, overlook that. What are some career bucket list items you have? What are some things you want to try in the future?
I mean, right now, my biggest, my goal, and this has been my goal from the beginning of being an artist, was to paint out of love and abundance daily until I die. But I want my grandkids' kids to live off of the legacy of love, because I painted more love than any artist ever thought about painting love. So that's my big ultimate long-term goal.
Cool.
Now bucket list on,
grandkids, kids, you better start painting some paintings, brother.
I mean, I've painted thousands.
That's a lot.
Like, I've already painted more and sold more paintings.
That's a lot of green.
It is. But I've already sold more than Van Gogh.
Look at you.
Than he sold in his lifetime. So I've already beat him, which he was on my list. And now I'm going after Picasso.
You're wearing a hat kind of like Van Gogh. Look at that action.
Just cover my ear up. You want to cut it off, bro?
I'm not going to cut your ear off.
So, no,
I got a big knife in my pocket, but I won't cut your ear off.
Is that what that was? I thought it was something else.
Jesus,
my bad.
Get the fuck out of here.
Well, I did have a bucket list of making $1 million a year as an artist. Mm-hmm. That's not my goal anymore.
Gotcha.
That was always, man, if I could do that. But, I got pretty close, and I'm good enough with that. But again, that's not my focus anymore.
Yeah.
Bucket lists now, like, I've checked off so many bucket lists. Like,
You've
so
done
much
some pretty
of mine.
cool stuff, man.
Yeah, no, I've done a lot of stuff. I mean,
You got paintings hanging in some very nice houses.
And, like, one of my things I got to do a couple years ago was I was the celebrity artist on a cruise ship that toured.
I remember that.
Russia, or toured the Baltic Sea, and I was in Russia during the FIFA World Cup, and I got to paint at some of the most beautiful places in the world, and that was a bucket list, and I got to do that. But honestly, it sucked. It wasn't as good as I thought it was, because I was there alone. My family wasn't with me.
Nobody
I was lonely,
with.
and sharing it with a bunch of strangers, and I wasn't profitable. I didn't make any money on the trip, and
Gotcha.
It was beneath my pay scale. But a lot of times the things that we think we want, once we get them, they're not everything they cracked up to be. So, I would love to live a long life and see my grandkids alive. Like, see my girls have kids, and when you're older parents, the chances of that are happening. And I would say a bucket list is to get my health right. I've never had good health in my life. Like, I'm not super unhealthy, but I'm not the best version or the smallest version of myself either.
Sure.
So I would like to climb that mountain. I'd love to get to a point to where I never put another fast food in my mouth.
There you go.
And
that's a great goal.
And that's a hard goal.
That is. But once you break that, if you can go 21 days with nothing, like just say 21 days, same with sugar.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You don't crave it.
Yeah.
You don't want it.
I've done it before.
Better.
I've done
It's
21
crazy.
days.
Nice.
I've done ketogenic, and I've been able to get into ketosis and that kind of stuff, but I fall back to it. You know, it's like there's something about it that I roll back to it.
Yeah,
And
there's an addictive property.
well, Ben, when you've been eating that kind of food since you were a baby,
Yeah.
like I remember looking at my childhood book, like my baby book, and I tasted my first Dr. Pepper at 4 months old.
Yeah. Crazy.
4 months.
Yeah.
And 77.
Wow.
So, like you
Well,
think
it's
about.
a good thing you didn't grow up Irish Catholic, or you might have been tasting your first Jameson at 4 months
And it would,
old.
and I know some kids have. And
I
I know
do
that,
too.
I mean, I know my
In the sipper
grandparents-
seal, man.
Yeah.
To go to sleep. Yeah.
And they're teething. Like
Yeah.
I remember my grandmother saying when my daughter was teething, just rub some liquor on there.
Yeah.
Just rub a little Jack Daniels on.
Yeah.
There. I'm like, you want me to give my?
Yeah. That was
know.
a thing, man. That's crazy.
And we wonder why so many people are alcoholics today.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't surprise me, but we don't do alcohol in our family. Like my wife, she may have a drink every once in a while, but she's not a drunk or a drinker.
Yeah.
We've had bottles of wine that have never been touched and been in there for a decade,
Wow.
but just not drinkers. It's not but I was a drinker at one point in my life. And
Yeah.
I remember I'm lucky to be here today, drinking while drunk or driving while drunk and made it through, and that kind of stuff and waking up drunk. Like after doing 28 shots in a night, but I didn't have a limit. But now, like, it's funny how the world changes on you. Now I'm allergic to alcohol.
Yeah.
If I have a drink of a beer or a wine, I'll get red and flush and start itching all over.
Crazy.
But I guess, ran out of that enzyme that breaks down alcohol because I was so, and I remember working in the bar scene in my early 20s, and I would start the night with 7 shots of tequila. Boom, boom,
Wow.
boom, boom, boom. And then have Jaeger bombs all night at work, and they encouraged it.
Yeah. Shift shots, bro. Have you ever painted from a play? I know you've from positively, light, love. Have you ever painted from a place of pain, torment, sadness? Have you ever produced any pieces from that standpoint, from that basis, from that emotion?
The closest thing I can remember doing to that, it was painting. I did a trade out for some custom AR-15s from a local gun manufacturer. So I went to school with the guy's wife, and so but we did a trade out. So I can't have guns, so I don't need guns. But I got my dad and brother custom AR-15s, fully loaded. The whole deal. And well, in order for that trade, I had to paint the guys behind their guns. And every day I went into the studio, I was looking at gunpoint. I would roll into the studio and I got 3 paintings of guns pointing at me every day. So, it was really hard for me to get past that and finish those. But they also wanted me to do one of their daughters behind a gun. And that was one of the options that I could have done. I was like, man, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I said, I can't imagine when my 5-year-old needs to be behind an AR-15.
Right.
But I know a lot of the people that are big gun guys, like I want my daughter to be able to pull that trigger at 5.
Sure.
But I don't want my daughter to want to kill anything at 5.
Yeah.
She's too pure and innocent to be there,
Yeah.
So but again, I had to shift I'm a love guy, not a fighter anymore, but that was tormenting for me to go in, but I also remember waking up with guns in my face.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I remember being uncuffed because I had cocaine and blood pouring out my nose because I had done so much with people I shouldn't have been hanging out with the night before. Like I have those memories. So, but I put those memories away, and I've let them out. I talk about them, but again, I'm so far on the other side that I don't have any negativity in me more. But I say that there was it's funny. There was a painting I was working on. This guy had made me an offer on a painting, so we had agreed to the deal. I took his credit card, but then he got mad when I charged him sales tax on a $16,000 painting. And I'm like, well, you gave me a credit card, bro. I got to charge you sales tax, and he canceled the deal because I wouldn't eat the sales tax after I'd already gave him a 20% discount, after I'd already done all these extra things, and he went the extra mile, but he had just got through bragging about how much money he had and how special. And, so that dude, Paul Panza, I don't know if you know the guy, but that's the guy. Well, on the next painting, I went and I wrote, F you, Paul Panza. And I had on one of my paintings, and I had so much and I remember getting mad at Trump one day, and I have this big 8-foot Trump painting I've been working on for a few years, 8 foot by 6 foot.
Yeah.
I got mad at him and gave him neck tats, and I gave him a black eye, and I put a Illuminati triangle around one of his eyes and devil horns, but I was feeding off of the energy of the people. So I had shifted on him. Well, now the Trump I'm working on, he's smiling, and I was going to paint it election night, but I just couldn't bring myself to it because the energy of him being the victor wasn't there.
Yeah.
And my body wouldn't let me go into
after
that
about
mode.
9 p.m. it wasn't.
Well, you mean 9 a.m. or like?
I mean like 9 p.m. Tuesday night when Arizona got called.
Yeah, way early.
And then all sorts of crazy stuff and ballots showing up in the back of vehicles at 3 a.m. and all
it's just nuts, man.
Stuff.
I just hope it gets called out. And I just want to know the truth. Did it happen or did it not happen?
We need to know the truth as a people, all of us.
All of us.
It doesn't matter what side you're on. If you're a Republican or a Democrat or an independent, which both of us are, it doesn't matter. Everyone needs to have confidence that our democracy is an honest, true democracy and that the system works.
I think most
and
of us
everyone needs to support that is the end deal. Not, oh no, nothing to see here. No, if there's a question at all, and I was elected, I want everyone, without a shadow of a doubt, to know that I was legitimately elected.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, both sides should be going, oh, hold on, we've got shadows here. Let's shine a light, figure it out, move on.
But they won't. I mean, one side is saying count every vote, and the other side is saying count every legal vote.
Right.
And there's a big difference there. They're all saying count every vote. Every vote is equal.
Right.
Well, not every legal vote is equal, but not every vote is equal. But if you aren't paying attention to why they were pushing mail-in ballots so big in March when the COVID hit, we got to go into mail-in. People are going to stay home, but yet it was only 2 weeks to slow the spread during spring break, during March Madness.
Right.
2 weeks to slow the spread.
Yeah.
Well, how about that now?
Yeah.
We're 2 weeks in. Now they're saying another 4 to 6 weeks.
Well, now it's time for a dark winter. So,
Which I believe it will be a dark winter for some.
Quite possibly.
For people that live out of fear, it'll be real dark.
Well, that's up to guys like you and me to be salt and light, because people can tell when they're around light. Like,
without a
there's
doubt.
something different about this guy.
And you ain't got to say anything.
What's
you just
going
gotta
on with this?
You just got to show up.
Positivity.
You know?
It comes off you. You know?
Radiates.
Absolutely.
Well, it's like bad people. They radiate too.
Yes, they do. That negative energy is like a sinkhole.
I mean, I think about, like, I had this job at the W. We used to do all the contract work for the W for about a decade.
I went and looked at a leak there with you one time.
And I had a guy that was the lowest bidder, but whenever I met the guy, my spidey senses went off, and I didn't trust it at the time. I knew something was off. Well, he, ran out with $15K, deposit money and to go do all, and he promised me all this. And I was checking in on, we're almost done. And then come, the day before delivery, hey, when are you going to meet up? And man, I spent all the money and I need more money so I can go buy materials. I'm like, what happened to you told me you already bought materials, and that kind of stuff. And this was the Christian guy. But my spidey senses told me it was off. Well, I ended up doing that job for 3 months and I made $0. He kept all my profit, and so I worked for 3 months, but I paid all my contractors. I made the customer happy, but that was the last job I ever did. After that, when I said I worked too hard to make $0,
No.
And so once I shifted that, but again, that was I had to go through that. But my spidey senses said, something ain't right here, and we don't listen to it enough. And I hope that moving into the future, everybody trusts their gut.
Yeah.
If you want to know what the truth is, and do you believe the elections are trustworthy? What does your gut say?
Yeah. What is your conscience telling you? Is it telling you something's off, or are you biting?
And if people can listen to themselves more, they'll be directed the right way every single time. Yeah. But most people don't trust themselves. Mm-hmm. It's weird, they want to trust someone else's opinion that doesn't have a clue.
Or they want to say, oh, you tell me it's okay to think this way. Okay, I feel comfortable in my opinion now.
And that's just a lack of self-worth.
Yeah.
But if you want a tip for people, self-worth.
Yeah.
And self-realization of where you're actually at, and it's, to me, it's that simple. It's just those two things. But you got to value yourself. You got to value your time. And if someone's not willing to value your time and yourself, don't have them in your life.
Yeah.
If you're working with a contractor or a person that,
or a client,
as soon as you walk in the door and they're questioning you about everything, and tell them no.
I'm out.
Walk away.
Yeah. Life's too short.
You're not worth it.
No doubt.
And people they show you if they're going to be an easy client or a bad client in the beginning.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
No doubt.
And how many times have you been burnt when you went against your gut reaction?
Blowing through the red flags because you're hustling, because
you need the money.
Win this.
You're
you
hungry.
need the money.
Yeah.
Got to make payroll. Want to build my business.
Desperate.
And I'm blowing through stop signs and red flags and red lights. And yeah, if you would have listened and gone, maybe the still small voice is telling me this is not the right deal for me.
Yeah.
And that's hard when you're driven by ambition. It's very hard.
And money
ambition
driven.
is good, but
Yeah.
you've got to temper that. If a client wants to reach out to you for some of your art, how can they get a hold of you by email?
I'm pretty much, I hate email, but the Lawley Art Group, you can go thelawleyartgroup.com. I've got stuff there that's on my website. Right now I haven't, email, you can get through all those things there. I cut off most of my social media. I'm just now starting up on Parler, and I'm starting up on Rumble, so I'm getting off of
What's your handle on Parler?
Anon artist, or anon, like QAnon artist almost. So,
Gotcha.
But anonymous artist, so
that's funny.
Anon artist is my name, and but you can search my name as well too. Tanner
Yeah, and if
Lawley,
anybody wants to get a hold of Tanner, you can always hit me up on my Instagram or email me, and I'll give him your cell number too.
I'm still on those.
I'll be your agent.
Yeah, I'm still on the 10% of anything you bring my way.
Absolutely,
so,
brother.
I'm still on a lot of those platforms. I'm not very active.
Not investing.
I think I got
in them.
15,000 emails I haven't read.
That's a few, bruh.
Yeah, but I hate it. I mean, it's like
Let's get you a personal assistant.
It's the worst
to go
part of
through
my
this.
day. Email is hands down the worst part of my day.
I don't particularly cherish opening my email inbox either.
Yeah. But it's
I got to make payroll every Friday, so
yeah, you got
to do what I got to do.
I guess you don't have to, but
yeah, if I want to keep going, I do.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time, man.
No problem.
Good to have you on. Absolutely.
I enjoyed it.
Good times. Well, that was awesome. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Tanner's a pretty fascinating guy. He's very free with those opinions, and love him for that. I've known Tanner for a long time, and I always like to sit down and chop it up with him. He's a great guy. He's got a great heart, a big heart. Hope you enjoyed that. I'd love to know what you think about our podcast, so I'd love it if you drop me a note below. Good, bad, indifferent. I'd still love to know what you think. Is anybody out there watching? I know some of you are. Hope you enjoyed that. You can always reach out to me on my Instagram at Jess from the Northwest, or email me if you'd like to work together live at autographconstruction.com. We'll see you next time.